everybody, and welcome back to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm back today for another episode of The World Tree Burns, because we all know that tree ain't gonna put itself out, and that's why we're here to be the fire rescue team, because only we can prevent forest fires. So let's meet the team, and let's go around and remind ourselves of who we are and who we're playing. We are joined by our inimitable Dungeon Master, Dan Dillon. Dan, how's it going?
It is going incredibly today. I'm having a really excellent day, and I just have a ton of energy, and I'm looking forward to channeling it into D&D, and I have a tiny person behind me. So I'm ready. I'm ready to play some.
Fantastic. Well, let's meet the players for today. We have Tool School with us tonight. Tool School, how's it going?
Hey, I am doing good. I am excited to do some things and stuff and things. I think we've got like mysteries to solve and what's next to figure out and all that kind of stuff. And at some point, Riodan's going to come out from underneath of that spell he's under, and that's going to be fun. So yes, I am Glaz today, and we will be doing all of the Glaz things of my my Frolkin Geomancer, who has learned new things and exciting stuff. So we are very excited.
Fantastic, awesome.
He's having a little library moment to himself. He might need a cigarette afterward.
Love it, love it. Couldn't love it anymore. We have Scarlet Morph back with us tonight. Scarlet, how's it going tonight?
Everything's going pretty well. I'm not in my room at the moment because I'm rearranging that at the moment, so I'll have a nice streaming space for next week. So I don't have all my moody lighting, which is putting me off a bit, but I'm Scarlet Moth. I'm an artist, cosplayer, and professional internet shitposter. And I'm going to be playing Rowan, the Ravenfolk cleric, today. And I'm not looking forward to seeing what happens when Riodan wears off that spell I've put him under.
Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm just going to have to bring a little bit of extra darkness to help fix the mood lighting in Scarlet's room.
Yes. And hopefully I won't have too many dog noises because I'm much closer to the front room today. But if you see any dogs, then consider them extra guests on the show.
Great stuff. Well, we have McCloken back with us tonight. Loke, how's it going, my friend?
Hi. I figured out that when you level up your character in Fantasy Grounds, your proficiency bonus also goes up. So it's automatic, and I don't have to worry about it. I just want to say, everyone, I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving, and glad you guys had safe travels, so you can come join the shenanigans that we're going to get into today. Because all I remember is that I'm going to try to persuade some Alchemist Brotherhood people to see my way. And if you guys are wondering who's going to be doing that, that's going to be Cloak, the fantastic, lovable, honest gnome ranger who never do anything shady ever.
We've been playing the same campaign. I sometimes I wonder. Fantastic stuff. Last but not least, we have Simply Jackson back with us tonight. Simply, how's it going tonight?
You're muted. 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 It's all right. Fantasy Grounds, everyone. Automatically handling your level up. Sorry, folks. Sam Regal. I
should figure out some kind of, if there's a sponsor out there who is focused on muting yourself when you should be speaking, I will take that, because the amount of times I do this myself and everyone else does,
right? It's
just a prime example for your brand out there. I'll let Simply work on that. Give me a thumbs up when you know you're ready.
Sure.
While we do that, I'll run through the sponsors real quick. The real sponsors, in fact, are fantasygrounds.com, our virtual tabletop of choice, where it is very easy to level up. You just click and drag, and it does it all for you. It's fantastic. Go over there. The demo version is free for use. WhalenGames.co.uk has up to 20% off the retail value of tabletop board games, war games, and more. And then tabletoploot.com give away a set of dice at the end of every one of our games. So stick around to the end of the show, and you'll be in for a chance to win some dice. There is a tweet for you guys. We have 20 retweets on this tweet. You guys get to decide something which happens next in our game. And of course, you can donate to a further game as well at any point by giving players nat 1s, nat 20s, wild magic, surges, goats, and more, it would seem. But I will hand over to Dan here to remind us a little bit about what happened last week on the World Tree Burns.
Okay, man, what happened last session on the World Tree? I believe we had a bit of an angst-charged session where Riodan was wallowing in a bit of his sorrow and his grief over the death of his friend Kane, is Simply back with us now?
Can you hear me?
Hooray!
Well,
Yes, we
okay,
can.
sorry.
Old
When I
retry.
started the recording program, I think it knocked my mic out for some reason. So I'm here. Hi.
No, I got you.
Turkey Day's over. Let's catch up. Let's go. Let's keep rolling.
Right. So Riodan was in a state. He's been losing himself in every decadence and distraction one can scrape up in the city of Zobek, from chemicals to herbal supplements to alcohol to women, men, who knows, everything you can possibly imagine. And we had a bit of an emotionally charged scene where all three of his remaining party members, as well as the two newcomers, did their best to try and crack him out of his funk. Additionally, with the help of Kaja, the non-cleric, the lay priestess of Morena, who oversees the shrine to the Red Maiden beneath the silk scabbard. Through a great deal of heart-wrenching roleplay and arguments, I believe it ended with the casting of a suggestion spell, which was enough to drag Riodan out of his room. Not enough to get him to put his armor on, if I recall, but did get him out of the room. He is dressed, mostly sober, and followed people to the library willingly, so we can tell something's wrong. And I believe we left with Glaz, Rowan, and Riodan at the Arcane Collegium's library, or is it the other way around? I think it was Tilly. Tilly was with them? Do we remember?
I was with Midgard, and Tilly
Right.
was with
Tilly
Glass.
was with Glaz and Riodan at the library, and Cloak and Rowan are headed to the Chartered Brotherhood of Alchemists. So, why don't we pick up there? Cloak and Rowan, you guys are making your way through the streets of Zobek, through the Collegium district, and heading toward the river. On your way there, let's see, roughly what time of day was it? I think it was still basically early afternoon, maybe just after noon or so. Mm-hmm. And as you guys are making your way toward the River Argent, the bustle of city life is all around you. It's a little bit more subdued in the Collegium district. There's not a whole lot of commerce that takes place here, and any of it that does is very esoteric and specialized. So it will be for either alchemists or glass blowers, maybe shops that specialize in magical reagents, that sort of thing. So not the sort of thing you're going to see just a large press of citizenry coming and going. And most of the traffic seems to be localized around the Collegium itself. As you get away from that and toward the River Argent, traffic thins out quite a bit. And so you approach the Alchemist's Brotherhood. It is a sturdy stone building just on the river. It's just sort of dark gray, squat, really kind of nondescript, sturdy-looking building. Almost like a little fortress.
What district was this in? I'm looking at the map.
This is in the Collegium district.
Okay, yeah. So 49. All right.
Yeah, take some of these numbers with a grain of salt. I have come to I've come to realize.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's basically right on the river. And
Okay.
Cloak, you've spent enough time in and around Zobek at this point to know that the reason it is on the river is because they occasionally had some nasty, volatile stuff to dispose of. And they handle that by pumping it or sluicing it directly into the river and just letting it wash away somewhere else. Somebody else's problem.
So which way does the river go? Does it go up? It's not north. It's not north. It's up west?
Right. So the river
Okay.
flows. It flows sort of north along the city and then up and around the gullet.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
west.
So I need a reminder of why we were heading here. Because I remember we're there to find
It's been,
information.
like 2 weeks. It's
2
fine.
It has
A lifetime.
been a little bit. So you guys were past. Let's see. Why were you headed to the Brotherhood of Alchemists? Oh,
We were going
because
to search for one of Riodan and
right.
Taja's compatriots.
Yes,
Who has
one
not
of their
been seen as-
correct. One of their flock, name of Phelan, has sort of gone missing, dropped off of everyone's sight, and one of the other Morena worshippers, the dwarf, he went to try and track him down and hasn't been able to find him at home, and he is a junior member of the Brotherhood of Alchemists. And so that is where you guys were headed just now.
Okay, so before we get there, I would turn to Rowan and be like, okay, this is the deal. You're looking for special rare alchemist stuff. I don't know what that is. You can spout out off anything. And we'll see if we can get inside and maybe see like, oh yeah, we think Phelan had it. And then, as I heard around the street, the Phelan had, so you know where Phelan is? And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I totally know where Phelan was. And I'll be like, okay, cool. And then they'll show us where Phelan is.
I have trouble understanding you when you talk so quickly.
Okay. You say what you're looking for, and then, just think rare stuff, and then they'll show us where Phelan is, because that's how it usually works.
All right. So you head up to
I
the...
don't quite understand, but I will endeavor to help.
Okay. So you guys can head up to the main building. It has a very stout oak wood door banded in iron and brass, and you can see that there are these sort of carvings around the stone door frame, particularly across the lintel up at the top. And neither of you have anything like proficiency with alchemist supplies, right?
Great question. I don't think so.
Okay. So there's some strange-looking, possibly arcane sigils carved into the stone that don't really have a whole lot of meaning for you. But there is indeed a stout door in front of you, and now that you're up close, you can see that the Brotherhood of Alchemists seems to not be a single building, but kind of a series of stone bunkers that sort of dot their way from this plaza toward the river itself.
Okay. So yeah, the main like entrance and all that.
Right.
I would go to the door and just be like start pounding on it. I'll look
Okay.
around. Act cool. Okay, just act cool.
Okay.
I don't
So
quite
you
know
pound on the
what
door.
you mean by cool, but
You
Examples.
can hear the pounding of your fist or the pommel of your dagger or whatever you choose to use sort of reverberate behind the thick and heavy door. And a moment later, there's the sound of a large bolt being thrown, and the door creaks open just a little bit. And the individual staring out at you is a human male, probably in his late 30s. He's very thin, has kind of wispy, used to be black hair, now gone to gray, and it's kind of missing in some spotty patches. And you can see that there are pock-like scars on his face here and there, and the skin is pretty heavily discolored around those pocks as well. And he says, yes, what do you want?
So we came here to look for alchemal regents. My friend here, she's new to the city, and I knew that you guys, I did a few missions for you guys getting some of your regents. And do I know him by chance?
You vaguely recognize him, but you've never really dealt with him particularly before, so you're not sure his name or anything like that.
Whose names do I know other than Phelan?
Let's see. You know Cordric, Kordric, and you know Zephyrin, Zephran.
Yeah, I've done some missions for Zephyrin, Cardric, and Phelan here, and basically, I'm just seeing if we can help my friend out and see if we can come to an agreement.
Oh, interesting. He kind of squints at you and he says, I do seem to recall them mentioning a Niemheimer who'd helped them out.
That's me.
Why don't you give me a charisma persuasion check, please?
And add advantage.
Do recall your advantage because you are a wheedling little, an upstanding citizen.
Yeah, upstanding, honest, would never break the law. 19.
Ooh, nice. All right. So he kind of chews on his lip for a moment with teeth that are not so much yellowed as brown. It looks like he has all of his teeth, but they're a strange brown color. It's a little disconcerting. He says, all right, come in, both of you then, come in.
Okay.
And he pushes the door open. When he pushes the door open, this kind of acrid smell gently wafts out, and it prickles the back of your nose and across your tongue.
Okay, yeah. I'm just like, I've smelt worse.
Sure. So basically, imagine walking into a chemistry lab that hasn't been thoroughly cleaned. That's sort of the smell that you're getting.
Oh, so like Walter White and mid, RV. Okay.
Sure. You might not want to light any flames. So as you head in, he brings you into what is really just kind of a very sparsely appointed, almost like a sitting room or a den. It doesn't look like it sees terribly much use. And he just sort of waves towards some of the chairs and says, "Have a sit. I'll find one of the others. Hang on." And he just sort of totters off into the building. Anything you guys want to do in the few minutes while you're waiting for anyone to come back, or are you just gonna chill?
Is there anything sort of on display around here, like reagents, jars of strange things?
Okay, so there's a few shelves, and it looks like there are a couple of leather-bound books, and it looks like they are, imagine the, new wave occult bookstore little shelf by the door or by the cash register. It's sort of that equivalent of alchemical texts. So it's stuff that you could probably pick up and digest easily, but really not get anything meaningful out of it. Besides maybe basics, that sort of thing. And there's a couple of earthenware jars here and there, and a couple of dark brown glass jars, all of them stoppered.
Anything interesting in them?
I would say, so you go over and kind of tap one of the jars with your claw and just kind of bring your beady eyes, your good one, right up close to it. In one of them, you can see that they're filled with fluid, at least the ones that are translucent. You're not exactly sure what they're filled with, as the stoppers are also sealed with wax. But in one of them, at least, there is a sort of murky shape floating in the water, and it looks... So you take a moment staring at it, and it looks like a fetus of some sort.
What exactly do they do here, Cloak?
Oh, they do alchemy shit. That's all I really know. I don't tend to ask questions.
Is that the scientific name for it? Alchemical shit?
Yes. If that is correct. So basically, they are like, "Hey, get me these items," and I'm like, "I'll totally get you these items," and they compensate me. So I go out in the wilderness, get it, gather it, and come back. What they use it for, I don't ask.
Rowan, you have a couple of moments to at least assure yourself that whatever now dead creature is floating in this liquid is not any sort of humanoid. So that is perhaps less disconcerting. And about that time, there's a sort of short, pudgy human man with short cropped red hair who comes into the room. Cloak, you know this guy is Zephyrin. So he smiles, not exactly warmly, but just kind of a perfunctory, polite little smile, and says, Cloak, it's good to see you again.
Hey,
I heard that you're, it's studies apace and all that. So I was told that you were in search of something. What can we do to help you?
Oh, yeah, my friend Rowan here, she's from out of town, just recently came in, and we were discussing, and, she's dabbles in the alchemy, and she was looking for some regions. I was wondering if you guys can help us out, and we can look into that.
Well, it's possible. We don't usually deal in the resale of specific reagents, generally more in finished compounds, but if there's something you're looking for, it's possible we could help. Rowan, he said your name was? I'm Zephyrin. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, it's me. She sort of gives her head a little bow, like birds do.
Yep. So, Rowan, you can tell that he's a little bit nervous meeting you. And he's being polite enough, but you can see that there's just a little bit of trepidation kind of tightening the skin at the corner of his eyes. And he starts to fidget just a little bit more once you and he are conversing. He says, yes, well, good. What is it that we could help you find?
Oh, I do have a few things on my list. Do you require a coin? And she'll take off a few coins to give to him to sort of maybe ease.
Okay, so
his,
you're basically are you subtly trying to bribe him? Is what you're doing here, right? Or are you just showing that hey, I'm here to buy stuff. Calm down.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So the clink of gold in your hand, gold or silver or whatever you pull out, seems to draw his attention and at least takes his mind off of whatever was making him nervous for the moment. So he says, "Oh yes, of course. Well, do tell us your list, and we'll see if there's anything we could do to sort it out for you."
That would be most helpful. First on the list, blood moss.
That shouldn't be difficult. Yes.
Nightshade.
All right. So he sort of coughs and, well, that may be possible. Of course, there are many medicinal and other chemical uses for the blossom and essence of the nightshade. But we'll have to stress in the strongest possible terms that it must be imperative, mind you, to keep this away from any open wounds that you or anyone else handling it might have. It's entirely possible that it could paralyze anyone who carelessly got some of this extract in a cut. And he kind of is giving you this sort of direct look as he says this. So you're getting the feeling that
I use it for prophetic uses.
Well, of course. Yes. Just very. Do be cautious with it. As always, we stress caution here at the Brotherhood of Alchemists. You see.
Does Cloak see him being nervous?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I mean, well, you could make an active insight check if you'd like to, a wisdom insight. Rowan has a high enough passive insight that she didn't need to roll. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So as they talk, you start to pick up on it. He seems to be nervous about Rowan herself. You can't really pull any more than that. Once they start chatting shop, however, he relaxes quite noticeably.
Okay.
So, like, maybe it could simply be like I'm meeting someone new that I don't have a good read on yet. But it felt like maybe there was a little bit more than that. It's hard to say. So they get to talking shop, and he starts insinuating that maybe he'd be willing to sell you guys some poison on the down low if you're going to play ball, reading the warning labels.
And she's just rattling off her list, which includes stuff like powdered tooth, various different types of plants.
If nothing in there is too esoteric, they can probably scrounge it up. If you're asking for anything that might be, say, indigenous to the Northlands, that'll be a little bit more difficult for them. But any sort of relatively common to uncommon sort of herb or reagent, they can probably lay hands on for you. So yeah, you guys have a back and forth. And,
She has enough special Northlands reagents that she's kind of squirreled away in her pack, because she knows that it would be hard to find it, or even if they might not even have heard of it down here. But
it's possible, yeah.
It's mainly, she's just stressing that she needs as much blood moss as possible.
All right. So he'll go ahead and see about gathering you up a decent amount of blood moss. He excuses himself and sort of trundles back out of the room to go and acquire it. You have a couple of minutes if you want to do anything else. If not, he will return promptly.
Who's that? It's just me and Rowan in the room?
Yeah, if you want a couple of minutes alone, you have it.
Well, I don't know. He seemed kind of nervous, but then he relaxed. So, but I'll find out a little bit more.
It may be because he hasn't seen many raven folk, or it could be just
when she suggests that cloak, it seems that she may have hit the nail on the head. It could just be that he's nervous around a raven folk because they're, said to be the eyes and ears of Wotan, and they can bring tidings of the future, and those tidings can turn ill if you slight them or if they don't like you or, any of that.
Okay. I'm going to keep that note of that.
Sure. Rowan, this doesn't really surprise you at all. You're used to getting this sort of reaction from people. All right. So he returns with a little parcel, and he hands the blood moss over to you, and he will ask for 5 gold for the amount that he has procured. There you are.
She will hand that over.
All right. He happily hands the parcel over and takes your money and says, well, I'm very, very, very pleased that we could do some business and we could help out a fellow student of the alchemical arts. Is there anything else I might do for you, Cloak? It's good to see you again, by the way. It's been a while since we've had any work for you.
Oh, yeah, I know. I get odd jobs here and there. The Collegium hires me. I do something for them. You guys hit me up about something. I go do that. I keep busy. But he Cloak holds out his hand to shake his hand.
Mm-hmm. He takes your hand. Yep.
There's a piece of gold in Cloak's hand, and he just looks at him and he's like, yeah, it's great seeing you again. Hey, a question. Have you seen Phelan lately? And then let's go and let's without the gold.
Okay. Go ahead and make a persuasion check again with advantage.
I love I love having advantage on persuasion. 20.
Dirty 20. All right. So he for the kind of like pudgy, stubby fingers he's got, he very deftly slips the gold out of your palm, and you don't even see him pocket it. It just kind of goes away. And he says, "Oh, Phelan, well, do let me think. Now that you mention it, it has been perhaps a few days at least since I've seen him. Perhaps even up onto a week at this point. You must understand, we all become rather engrossed in our own work and experiments, so it's not uncommon to miss each other for stretches at a time. But it has been a while since I've seen him.
Can I go check up on him? You know where he'd be in his common areas?
So he starts to get a little bit uncomfortable, and he says, well, I don't know that simply having you wander around the compound would be much proper. If you would like, I could escort you to his laboratory, and we could see if he happens to be in.
Oh, yeah, that'd be perfect.
Right, very well. This way, the both of you then. And he sort of leads his way toward the back. where he's kind of come and gone a couple of times. So he takes you out the back door into the inside of the little low-walled compound with all these stone bunkers here and there. And as you're going through, you can catch strange, very chemical smells coming from them. There are what look like metal-covered chimneys sticking up out of each one. Some of them have smoke. Some of them have off-colored fumes sort of billowing out of them. You can smell what smells like burning sulfur, just all kinds of caustic, acrid, or just unnatural smelling things. He leads you to one of the bunkers that does not, from the outward appearance, seem to be in use. There's no smoke or vapor or anything being vented from it. He knocks on the door, which this door is iron, and actually most of the workshop doors are much sturdier and are all made of metal. He bangs on the door a couple of times and calls out, "Phelan? Phelan, are you in? Visitors?" So he gets no response and tries the door and finds it locked. So he kind of purses his lips and says, "Well, all right, I suppose it won't hurt anything. I don't usually like to do this, but..." He reaches into a pocket and he comes out with a big ring of iron keys. He shuffles through with a clinking and clanking until he finds the one he wants, and it unlocks the door. It opens with a hollow creak, and inside you see a darkened laboratory. There's all manner of glassware, burners, and little furnaces on the benches. There's a small forge in one corner, just spirals of glass and metal tubing going from vessels to smaller alembics and other retorts. Books, notes, jars and vials of various liquids and powders, kind of neatly stored. You do not see any sign of anything amiss, like there's no sign of a struggle or anything like that. Everything looks like it was put away neatly and in order, and then the door was locked
behind him. Okay. So can I walk in? Is he preventing me from walking in when I step forward?
He's not at this point, but he is kind of watching you very closely. And as you guys step in, he pulls out a little iron rod that has a golden tip on the end of it, and he clashes the tip against the stone wall, and it begins to emit a bright light. And he holds it up because all of the lights in the room are doused. So he illuminates the room for you, and kind of goes with you.
Yeah. So I would go over to where I saw the notes.
Sure.
And all that kind of stuff, and kind of like peer at that and see if I see anything that would kind of gleam where he'd be located at all, or what he was studying, and possibly get a clue.
Go ahead and make me an intelligence investigation check.
Yeah, my best roll. 16, straight up.
Okay, that's not bad.
Oh wait, didn't even go. Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. I trust you guys. All right. So a 16. So you're not proficient. You don't have the familiarity with what is on all of these notes. And I mean, are you going to like stand there and try to rifle through all of them, or are you just going to kind of take a cursory look and see what he was most recently working on?
Most recently working on maybe the page below it to see if there's any kind of like notes on that. But pretty much, yeah.
So mostly it's like, I mean, imagine chemical formula, by perusing it as a non-chemistry student. It's mostly a bunch of strange numbers and symbols. There's occasional notes that are in common, in trade tongue, scrawled in the margins, but without context, it just doesn't make any sense to you. It seems to be talking about adjusting measurements somehow. However, going down a page or two, it looks like a different sort of work. Like there's just sort of an overall difference between whatever these notes are saying and whatever the top notes were saying. Again, you can't really make hide nor hair of it, but scrawled down at the bottom of this parchment in sort of a hasty hand is book fetish, and it's underlined quickly.
Book fetish was where one guy worked, right? That we had transcribed?
No, that was Ulmar's Rare Books.
Okay. So book fetish.
You know,
which
Omar's or book fetish, one of the two.
Omar's book fetish, wasn't that it? Yeah.
So he's like, okay. Well, it doesn't seem like he's here at all, and I don't know what he was working on. But I mean, do you know? Does he live here, or is there an address I can get?
Oh no! He doesn't live here. He works here, of course. He has a home on the edge of the district, just on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose. So he finds a scrap of parchment, opens up an inkwell, grabs a pen, and scrawls out the address for you.
Okay. And he looks at me and says, "You've been so helpful. You know, like next time you need me to go out at 50% off, then."
Well, I'll most certainly take you up on that the next time we have any, any of the things that would require or at least suit your particular skill set. And you know that he's sort of insinuating that occasionally they might need bits or parts from inherently magical beasts or other dangerous creatures for their properties, and you might be you have a reputation for being able to procure such things, as you and your companions are now at this point known to have ventured into the Margrave on numerous occasions and come back alive. So that's always a plus. So he ushers you out if you've had your fill of poking around the place, and he seems like he's maybe a little uncomfortable letting you stay too much longer, just because this is a little bit of an invasion of privacy of one of his compatriots. Mm-hmm. And he was very nervous when you were looking through the notes. The fact that you only looked at the top 2 or 3 pages, didn't seem to understand anything, didn't try to take anything, is probably the only reason that he decided to hold off on saying anything. Rowan, you can kind of pick all of this up as well. You've got a pretty good read on him. So, aside from some slight shadiness about being willing to sell you poison and taking bribes and the like, it seems like he's at least being forthright with you. And so he takes you back to the entrance and bid you good day, friends. Do come back if you ever find yourselves in need.
Farewell. I might make a purchase later on if I go on a long trip.
Of course.
For the long road.
Absolutely. Good luck in your hunt.
Thank you for your discretion as well.
Oh, but of course. It was a pleasure to meet you. And he does seem sincere about that. It looks like some of his initial trepidation has worn off.
And if he didn't know better, he would think that this old raven folk just winked at him.
Yeah. Goodbye. He kind of sees you out, and the big door creaks closed behind you. Boom! And then the bolt throws again.
Well, let's just not tell him that I'm using the poison for drugs.
All right.
He wouldn't care.
So we're going to flash over to the library contingent. What are you guys up to? Having a wild time. I believe when at the exact moment we left off, Riodan, you were enthralled watching Glaz just painfully sort of flirt with one of the other students at the Collegium.
Oh yeah,
Honestly, the worst.
Yes, it was love, and
she's just taken her leave. You noticed that Glaz doesn't look like he even managed to get her name, but hard to tell exactly what's going on there.
Glaz, what the hell was that?
Oh, she is so smart, and she comes into the library often, and she sits 3 tables over. She likes to have tuna fish sandwiches on Tuesdays.
That's so weird that you know that.
Seem to know quite well.
No, I totally have not been watching or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. No. You don't get the wrong idea. She is very intelligent. I've seen that she's gotten many different books from the evocation discipline.
I don't even know if it is Tuesday, let alone what someone else does on a Tuesday. So you have been watching her, which is weird. So what's her name?
I'm working up to asking her.
What?
So you know what she eats, but you don't know her name.
That's weird.
No,
Glass.
because you want to have a conversation, so you're able to like break the ice, as they like to say.
Conversation is awful. No, well, that one at
I
least was
agree, Rio.
dreadful.
For once, I totally agree. Conversation is awful, and it is very difficult.
Well, we need to find out her name. I mean, she seemed nice enough in a kind of weird nerd kind of way.
I know she is a nerd, right? And he kind of smiles, big tusky smile.
Well, how about I talk to her for you?
No.
I'm very good.
Absolutely not. No.
It's okay, I won't use my charm on her. If you're afraid that she'll fall in love with me, then I can assure you
It's
that
not
I'll
that.
do everything.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Tilly,
All right,
help?
well, if you change your mind, if you need tips, I have been with many beautiful ladies and men in my time, so I've got some tips for you, if you need some help.
Well, I have been with a very beautiful
Weird,
woman as well.
Not what I meant. No,
Tilly
not
just
no.
goes-
I play
Go off
games
the
every
shelf and
Sunday
starts reading,
afternoon
like-
with Valia. And she's very
That's
beautiful.
not at all the same in any way.
We spend
That-
quality time together.
Good God.
So Tilly is
Right.
desperately trying to lose herself in some book rather than listen to this. And right. All right.
This is all giving me a headache. Just being here now. I'd love some drugs or something exciting to happen. And that was interesting for a little bit, but now she's gone. So either run after her and I'll watch some more, or can we go do something else?
Well, I believe that we should be seeing Cloak and Rowan most any moment now. They were off to do a quick errand.
Right.
Quick.
So if indeed the plan was for you guys to meet them at the library, we can just sort of move ahead to you guys just sort of easily strolling across the Collegium District and heading into the library. Cloak can get you in. He knows a guy.
I know several guys.
Does. All right. So there's. You come in, see Tilly sort of looking painfully awkward, a little embarrassed, and she's like, oh, look at this. This is a treatise on the history of the Empire, the Grand Duchy of Dornig. I'm going to read all about Dornig right now, and Riodan is like winding down. It looks like Riodan was desperately trying to explain something to Glaz and is just running out of steam.
And that's
Cloak would
the
probably
thrust.
immediately
It's all in the
recognize
thrust.
that Glaz is blushing and has seen this before. He knows about Tuna Tuesdays. So
Series of sharp jabs. And anyway, thank God, everyone else is here.
So yeah. Hey.
Oh, Tilly.
Sorry,
I didn't know you knew how to read.
Just trying to occupy my mind with the imagery in the books to make sure I can remember to wash my ears out later. That's
Got
what
some
I was
books
doing.
if you want them. Not really books, they're more like visual
As long
novels.
as you have not touched any of them, I'll be
Oh,
fine.
well,
Thank you.
What,
very
heard
pretty
Did
graphic
Riordan
novel.
try to sleep with? Did Riordan try to sleep with people?
Oh,
Did he
I
try
didn't try to
with
sleep
you?
with anyone. It was Glaz. He's
No,
hitting on this
no.
Tuna Tuesday girl who's kind of preppy, geeky girl, but kind of hot in her own way, I guess.
Oh, you mean
know,
Constance?
Could be. He doesn't know her name. He hasn't even asked
you know her
her.
name?
How do you not know her name? You've talked to her like 7 times.
Is it that awkward
Well, I
point
was
where
waiting
you're
to ask her.
it's
Was it
too
to be
late to
polite?
ask her? You've been speaking to her for too long, where you should have known her name, and now you can't ask because asking would now admit that you never knew her name.
I literally was like, see you later, Constance, and you're standing there nodding, and then as soon as she left, you're like, okay, back to studying, and I was like, okay.
Of course, her name is
You didn't-
Constance.
You know I only listen to about half of what you say, Cloak, right?
What?
Only the good parts.
That's true. I usually listen to the good parts.
Speaking
I have
of
a-
good parts, is there going to be one soon? We
Oh,
think.
yes. Well, I do have some good news for you. I have procured some reagents for your, what are we calling it? Your drug habit, Ryodan?
That'll do. My addiction is good. That also works.
I hope
Yeah.
you're into the
Okay,
hard
well, that
stuff.
is good news that we have drugs. All right.
We have
cool.
the things to make drugs.
Should we do some drugs in the library? Wouldn't that be great? To see if Constance wants it. I bet she does.
I have to
No,
She would
You're
like
right.
it.
make them first.
You hear a sudden sort of like throat clear mixed with a harumph, and you look over and there's this
Constance?
this elderly elf marked individual. So
It's quite the harumph,
Must-
Constance.
he must be quite old because he's gone to gray, losing his hair. His face is etched with wrinkles. He's got kind of a little bit of a jowl thing going on, despite the touch of elvish grace that the gift of the elves has laid upon this otherwise human individual. And he's just sort of glaring in disapproval over it, talking about doing drugs in the library.
Oh, I can assure you it is all for educational purposes.
He sort of arches one eyebrow, shakes his head, puts the book he was looking at back on the shelf, and wanders away.
Glaz
I
is
bet-
mortified.
Don't worry,
We
you
should
won't
read
shoot
like-
our
Make the
movie.
library interesting. Can you imagine reading one of these old boring books while you're high? That could actually make them kind of fun.
Glaz just starts like trying to push people out of the library.
Get out,
Not
get out,
here.
get out.
Up in this space. Get out, 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 out. No,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
I want to make your
Rio Dan-
dirty library even filthier.
Yeah,
It's just-
Ryodan is shitting where Glaz lives right now.
Yes, pretty much. Do not shit in my house, Rio Dan.
I didn't know Troll
Over 10
can
minutes for that.
get this red in the face.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right,
Yeah.
one thing I would like to do, Tilly and Rowan, we're going to take a quick pause here. One thing we haven't done for you guys is determine your status. Status is sort of a measure of how society at large sees you and how they react to your deeds. This sort of thing can raise or lower depending on how you comport yourselves and what you do. Speaking of which, Ryodan, your status has dropped from a 6 to a 4. Just be aware of that at the moment.
See if I care.
Yes, fair enough.
He's wearing.
I can go
not
lower
so
than that.
He cares.
So I would
Almost
like
as popular as me.
I would like each of you to roll a d6 and add your charisma modifier to it.
Okay. That would be a 1 plus 3. So 3.
Okay, so 4.
What, sorry,
Oh,
1 plus
oh,
2,
sorry.
3.
1 plus 2,
I
3.
know
All right.
how to use that.
Yes, all right, a 3. So you have the same status as Glaz currently. Tilly, how'd you do?
4. 2 roll plus 2 mod.
4. And since you're a dwarf, you have a inherent +1 to that, so that will raise you to a 5. All right. So to give you a basic idea, a status of 3 puts you about on the same the same level as, say, a farmer or a laborer, or as you know, this works out really well. Most Hugin, most Raven folk tend to hang out about this level. A 5 is about the same as a guild apprentice or a member of a militia, and is about where you expect most dwarves to hang out. So nice job. Way to roll iconic results.
Where am I at?
You're a 7, so you are the highest status individual
How did that work?
of this particular company, because he, I mean, like you saw what he does. He makes himself indispensable to people who have some manner of influence.
And who need
so-
illegal things.
You have a 7. That's about on the That's about on the same level as a merchant or a soldier or a watchman.
What up?
Yes. All right. So you guys can make your way out of the library with
I
Glaz
can't
sort of.
believe the one wearing the mask is the face of the party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, despite the mask, he is very personable, and a lot of times, despite yourself, you find yourself kind of just sort of defaulting to liking him and being more like, even if he goes off color, it almost comes off as more amusing and kind of witty and irreverent than it does annoying or obnoxious. He's just got this way about him. All right, so you guys head out.
Stop liking me.
Right. Yeah, maybe. No.
God damn it.
I mean, he's not usually curmudgeonly. Occasionally. Usually when Glaz is giving away all the information.
Subject.
Yeah. True. All right, so you guys make your way out of the library. Riodan is grumbling about how there's going to be no tuna today, and that's just a shame.
Why does he want fish?
It's Tuesday.
Glaz probably blushes again.
Yes.
Why do you eat fish on Tuesday?
Why don't you ask him what comes on the sandwich?
Why would you eat fish anyway?
I like fish.
I'll tell you.
Why
Later.
Most ravens, birds, I often will have some of my, and he kind of realized he might have made a faux pas.
She just cocks her head. It's like, well, I do prefer meat of the land walking raw variety, but whatever.
I bet you do.
As you, what was that, Riodan?
Nothing. I got caught when you started talking about meat there.
I do like a good Scotch fillet. A nice haunch.
I'm into
Tilly,
it.
at about this time, you hear a distinctive flapping of wings with this almost metallic ring that you might expect when you hear a blade whistling through the air, and there's a flash of the dull sunlight that manages to peek through the overcast that catches on the silver feathers of a constructed raven that is flying towards you. It flaps over, it lands on the rim of your shield, cocks its head at you, opens its beak, and a voice sort of booming at the same time, kind of hollow, almost like it's being spoken through a metal tube, issues out towards you. It says, "How very interesting. Well, then I, Vendesian Thrick, shall be only too pleased to meet with you and the rest of the Cloak and Daggers at the Silk Scabbard this evening."
We didn't actually name ourselves that, did we? I thought that was an ironic thing.
And
I didn't want to put my name in the fucking title.
The bird clicks its beak
idea.
closed, shakes its metal feathers, and kind of like preens at your braid beard, and then sort of hops off the rim of your shield, and then flashes back onto the silver front plate, and it returns to its sort of carved status.
I like Vandessian Frick. I'll meet him.
He might have more drugs.
Definitely the kind of guy that would have more drugs.
Yeah.
So what should we know about this Thrick character?
Runs a
Black
mercenary
Shield.
group called the Black Shields. You hire him, he'll get the job done.
We've worked with him in the past, I think. It's kind of cool. Kind of edgy.
You would probably know potentially what could be going on. Maybe other weird, strange happenings. He knew all about what was happening with the black tree.
Yeah, he's kind of got this
Up in
hot
Shadowcry.
dad aesthetic going on, sort of middle-aged dad bod, but I like it.
Right. He didn't know all about what was going on with the black tree, with the black oak. He was able to find out who had hired him or hired his people, and that was so he knew that a man working for the Zealous family hired his mercenaries, and that was about it. But so the Raven delivers his message, and the Silver Raven then returns to its embossed, emblematic state on Tilly's shield.
Aye, well, you heard it. She just caresses her shield a little bit. Should we all go to the inn? Or...
Well, I mean, it's only like noon, so... Later?
Yeah, I just mean later. Should we all go, or should we send a party, or do you think it's
we
comfortable
can all
with your
go.
group? Okay.
You'll be fine. I mean, we all can go.
We don't have to do everything together. I'm fine with going on my own, or you guys go and I just go somewhere else. That's fine with me.
Well, I would prefer that you were
not excited about being included in a group of people.
He might have drugs, though.
Was that a serious question? Or
No, it's just a statement. You're fine.
right? No, he may have drugs. I'm happy to go and see him. I guess it's just we don't have to all go.
Cloak. Your landlady.
Yes.
Does she have access to a kitchen?
She does have a kitchen.
Say yes.
I don't think it's meant for making... Not make drugs in... Yeah. Let's see. Kettle whistle. Is it kettle whistle?
Kettle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, kettle whistle. And so, yeah, let's not use Mrs. Kettle Whistle's kitchen as a,
A drug den?
Yeah.
You should definitely hot knife something for me up there. That's fine. Should be cool with it.
We could just use Leodan's room. I believe that we do have...
My room's
better.
good. It's already a den of drugs and iniquity, so...
Yeah, I mean, like...
Go back to mine, let's do some drugs. See what happens next. Maybe we go to Van Dessian's.
You guys go I'm gonna go check on some things. I'll meet you guys in Silk Scabbard in the evening. There's a few people I need to follow up with.
Rowan's just going to take Cloak aside quickly. Are you following up about Fowlin?
Yeah. I'm gonna go. I have a couple places to follow.
I shall deliver news to Kaja, and let her know that we are looking into it.
Okay.
If anything comes up, I can send you a message.
Okay. So I'll just keep an ear out then. Don't make any promises because.
Not so much an ear out as keep your mind open and not unconscious.
Okay. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall. Okay.
Just blinks.
Refresh me on the status of. Refresh me on the status of Puff Puff, Cloak. Where do you want her about at this time?
With me? She didn't go with me. She was at the Collegium with those guys because I was not bringing her there. Because I know not to bring her there.
It looks like she spent most of that time not like going into the library or anything, but she sort of was running around the courtyard, kind of chasing after the falcon that a fellow with a thick leather gauntlet on one hand was sort of exercising out in the Collegium campus area.
Yeah, I mean, like she does that from time to time, and like some of the mages take a break from studying and play with her, and so. But yeah, as we left, she would come with us, and then come with me as I start disbanding from the group. And I look at anyone else, and I was like, are you guys all going to the Silk Scabbard?
Yeah, I'm off to the fuck house. You guys can come along if you want.
I'm sorry, the fuck house. What's wrong with you?
I guess that's all knowledge is good knowledge. I guess I'm learning how to make some drugs.
Oh, Glass. I'm sure that it will be an enlightening experience.
All knowledge is good knowledge. I'm gonna go ahead and remember that the next time the Nullifier's lexicon comes up.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've seen how that's been going for Glaz already. So,
you look at Tilly and Tilly, what are you doing?
I guess I'll go with Rowan, unless you need company or somebody to protect you.
You
Well,
don't have
do
to
you want to
come
go
with me
make
if you don't wish.
drugs?
I
I
don't
know
have much
I do.
interest in drugs, but I mean, she's the one I travel with.
Well, I mean, we're going to meet up with her later. I mean, if you want to come hang out, it's something different other than the fuck house that you already been to.
I haven't seen much of the city. I'll go with you.
Go
Yay!
for a walk. This will be an
Hooray!
adventure.
We're all doing things together.
She
Yay.
side eyes Reardon. Thankfully, without you. I don't know.
I'll be back
Keep an eye
soon.
on
Then.
All right.
Win 4 days £10 for a young cabbage vendor in financial crisis to show up. Appreciate that, Win 4.
Not my cabbages.
All right.
Love it. Love it.
Interesting. All right. Okay, so quick refresh me on who's going where.
I think Rowan, me, and Riordan are going back to the Silk Scabbard to make drugs
Make the
and with Riordan getting into trouble.
Okay, this will be interesting. Do either of you have, say, proficiency with an herbalist kit or alchemist supplies or anything along those lines? Maybe a poisoner's kit?
Let me just have a look. I think that I can actually... I can choose a skill or tool, and for 10 minutes I can gain proficiency with it.
You
As
can
part
indeed.
of my knowledge cleric.
Ooh, yeah, definitely you can.
All right, so you can channel divinity to get whatever sort of skill or tool familiarity you need, and so you're attempting to make some manner of drugs back in Riordan's room. Is that am I to take that correctly?
Anything will do, honestly. Will get me
yes.
high.
Okay.
All
right.
I might send you a message about what exactly I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
Mr.
sure do.
DM, sir.
And so Cloak and Tilly are headed off, right?
Yes. We're going to the book fetish because it's along the way to the address. I don't know where the address officially is, but I'm only guessing that it's further down from the book fetish.
So you are going to the address that was given. The address that you have is just on the other side of the bridge from the Collegium District in kind of the Market District area, across the street from the shrine to, what is it called? The Shrine of St. Caron.
Oh, St. Caron. Okay. So I would go to the book fetish first because it's along the way from the Collegium as we split up and make my way there and then hit up the house.
Okay.
That's my plot.
So you and Tilly are headed to the book fetish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, why don't you make me a... What would it be for knowing your way around? Not exactly survival. Why don't you give me an... Yeah, you can give me an intelligence survival or intelligence... Yeah, we'll go with intelligence survival.
Okay. So this will... Oh, I'm actually proficient, so it'll be a +3 to this roll.
Right.
Or can I change it on here? Oh, I can. Jesus. This is amazing. Okay, here we go.
Technology. At our fingertips.
Fantasy grounds, everyone.
We can rebuild him. A 9.
A 9. So, off the top of your head, you do not know what or where the book fetish is. You want to try and ask around and get directions, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I'll find like a guard who's walking by and it's like, excuse me, do you know where the book fetish is?
When you ask him about the fetish, his eyebrow sort of creeps up toward the rim of his helmet. When you amend to the book fetish, he says, yeah, certainly. It's just head along down this street, and then you'll want to, just past that intersection there, you'll take a left into the alleyway. You'll find the book fetish down at the end of it.
All right, thank you. And then
he just sort of nods and heads back on his way. All right.
Yeah.
So,
and at this point, as we're walking, I would turn to Tilly and be like, "So we're kind of looking for Phelan. I don't know what you know about that." And thank you for, we're big fans. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, so basically, we're just trying to find this person. I went to their lab, found that they were here, so I kind of want to ask around about it, you know, and I don't know if they're going to get rough and tumble, but, you know, if they do, I got, you know, big, strong dwarf lady, and she'll just be like, not today, and punch them.
Tilly probably will kind of toss her warhammer over her shoulder. Hey, but what are you looking for? What do you need this guy for?
So actually, you left the fuck house before any of that. So I talked to Kesha and the other dwarven fella, and I can't remember his name right now. So it feels like it's been weeks since I learned that name. Basically,
it was Theldro, by the way.
Oh, Theldro. He was looking for his friend Phelan, who is another worshiper of Moradin. Moradin?
Morena.
Is it Moradin? Morena. Another Moradin's the dwarven god. Morena. He said he hasn't seen him in a while, and even the people at the Brotherhood, the Alchemist Brotherhood that, you know, work with him, they haven't seen him in a while, right? So that's when I was going through his notes, it said something about the book fetish, and then a bunch of shit about chemicals, and I don't know how to read that, so, you know, that's big glass shit that, you know, that he would, like, look at him and be like, oh, that's so interesting, look what I can make. But, I'm going to check out the fetish and see if they know any info, and then I got his address at his house, so we might have to break in. All right, cool, breaking the law.
So during this rapid-fire onslaught of info dump, Cloak, I would like you to make me a quick dexterity stealth check.
Can do. A 14.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple of people just sort of walking along the street nearby, and a few of them are their path just kind of takes them near you, and you manage to kind of drop your voice just in time, so you're not yelling about the Red Maiden, whose worship is illegal in Zobek, across the street.
Okay. I totally said Moradin then. Oh, you know Moradin, right. You know the god they worship.
Moradin.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So you guys head to the alley in question, and this alley, it isn't like a dank, nasty little just kind of a space between two buildings. It's almost like a small dead-end side street. I mean, this alley, it is even cobbled, paved with cobbles, and it looks like there was once a few different shops set up back here, but currently it appears through these windows that you can see that several of these smaller spaces were combined into one. And there is a sign, a shingle hanging out over the door that has an open book sort of artfully inscribed on it, and in arcing letters over it proclaims the book fetish.
Well, here we are. All right. And then I'll open the door and be like, after you.
Okay.
Tilly works her way around, not knocking over, pile of books at the door.
Sure. All right, so you head in, and the shop is surprisingly roomy once you get in there. It was definitely repurposed from multiple smaller spaces, and they probably just knocked a bunch of walls down and opened it all up into one bigger place. There are bookshelves lining the walls. There are large windows where the kind of light from the sun, overcast though it is, shines in and helps illuminate the place, so it's not all lit by, you know, smoky candles and lamps and such. There's a horseshoe-shaped counter with glass-fronted cupboards just to the right of the doorway, and there is a lovely young human woman sitting behind the counter with this, like, golden blonde hair that almost looks like honey being poured down her shoulders and her back. And she smiles, and her dimples pop up, and her eyes sparkle radiantly when you come in, and she says, "Hello, welcome to the book fetish. I'm so happy you came to see us."
I'm rolling insight on that comment.
Sure.
Is she really happy?
She
17.
works in retail.
Yeah.
I mean, she seems pretty sincere.
Okay.
It's kind of a line, right? It's like, hey, there's customers, I'll play nice, but she really does seem upbeat and jovial and excited to see people coming in.
Okay. So I would walk up. What is a book fetish for? Would Cloak know that? I have no idea, personally.
So you walk in and look around. It looks to be a bookstore.
Okay. So he would walk up and be like, yeah, what kind of books do you guys have here?
Oh, we have just an incredible variety. We have new as well as secondhand books. I find that sometimes if you're looking for something, things that have already been around a few times or that have seen a little bit of love or maybe the best things to look for, those you'll find over in this section, and she sort of directs you to a different part of the store. We have a wide variety of topics, and you can see that there are a few people wearing the robes of the Collegium in here, browsing at a few of the shelves. It looks like there's maybe 2 other customers in here as well. One of them is wearing a Collegium robe, and the other seems to be just maybe a merchant or a slightly more well-to-do citizen.
Yeah, okay. So he would just like listen to her and be like, oh, that's interesting. He's kind of learning what this place is too, and he's like, oh, Glass would love this place. So he has no idea if Glass has been here or not. And basically he's going around and he's like, when they're away from everyone and she's talking, he would like kind of stop her a little bit and be like, what about alchemy? You guys do alchemy?
Well, she kind of purses her lips a little bit and says, "No, we don't engage in any alchemy here. Although sometimes we do acquire a few interesting ingredients or reagents, things that might have use along those lines. That's not a specialty of mine particularly, so I can only tell you so much about it." And she gestures to one of the glass cabinets in the counter.
Yeah, and he would. What's she pointing at? Just different regions.
Yeah, so she just points to one of the counters nearby the side of the counter that's farthest from the door. So it's kind of a horseshoe-shaped counter with glass cabinets, and inside there are little jars and jars that have herbs, maybe a few mushrooms, little bundles of herbs that have been left to dry, sort of hang from little hooks on the underside of some of the shelves. You can see dried flower blossoms, some sorts of little packets of seeds, all sorts of little things in there.
He's like, oh, that's pretty interesting. So I actually have some friends at the Arcane Brotherhood, or not the Arcane, the Alchemy Brotherhood.
Certainly.
Yeah, you're actually. I think one time my friend Phelan, he said he was going to come out here. When was that? Yeah, I think it might have been like maybe a week ago, maybe a little bit longer. Actually, have you seen him recently?
Phelan. The name sounds a bit familiar, but I'm afraid I don't think I know him. Perhaps I've heard one of the other staff greet him at some point. So I don't think there's much I can tell you, unfortunately. I apologize.
Well, yeah, so if someone from the Brotherhood were to come here, what would they come get? Just like reagents, or would there be a particular book that they want to purchase?
Oh, well, I suppose it could be any of the above. We perhaps he was looking for a book on a different topic aside from alchemy. Perhaps we had an ingredient that he needed and had difficulty finding elsewhere, happily.
Interesting. That would make sense.
Do you have many competitors with those reagents and stuff?
Oh, well, we don't do a terrible amount of business in that arena, so we're not really looking to compete with anyone. It's mostly just a little extra for our customers. Sometimes someone might want something to enhance their tea, or perhaps something that would make a nice incense?
I mean, I'm not discounting your products. I'm just saying, if he didn't find what he needed here, do you know anywhere close that he might go to?
Oh, well, certainly the Brotherhood would be, if he was a member, would be the best place to simply go through their means to find the things that he needs. If he needs things that are particularly rare or not able to find here, he may have to go through some of the more specialized merchant houses. She makes a little bit of a face and says, particularly if he was looking for anything from, say, the Shadow Realm, he would have to go through the Shadow Exchange. That we almost assuredly couldn't find anything of that nature.
Yeah, that's nasty business.
So, sorry, not Glass. Cloak, you were poking around the cabinet. You could make an intelligence nature check.
Oh, that's sweet natural ability. 15.
15.
Straight up.
So you recognize a few of the things that are in the kind of the herb cabinet that she showed you. So you know a few things that one of the flowers that's in there sort of strikes you. It kind of catches your attention for a moment. You know, back from some of your time in Niemheim, this particular flower, if its petals are dried and brewed into a tea, you know that it is a fairly effective contraceptive.
Trust me.
But those flowers right there, how much do you sell those for?
Some of our customers enjoy the tea that's brewed out of those. It has a little bit of an astringent flavor, but depending on what you mix it with, that can be just about perfect. And she kind of smiles broadly at you, and she says, 3 silver for, and she kind of pulls out a little box that's empty. She says, for about this much. This should last a while.
Okay. Interesting. Do you have any books on the Margrave?
Books on the Margrave. I suppose it's possible. Nothing jumps to mind offhand. You could have a look at the stock. It rotates occasionally.
Okay. So he would and she seems like she's been truthful the whole time talking to her, and he's like, well, I might have to come back and look into this a little bit further. I'm sorry, I'm on a time constraint at the moment. Well,
so you rolled a 17 for insight. As the conversation has gone on, she still seems sincere and very delighted to be talking to you, but it almost looks like she's half expecting you to say or do something that just never kind of happens. Almost like she's every time the conversation takes another turn, she seems almost expectant. And then when it goes wherever it is you take it, she kind of just settles back to normal. She doesn't seem disappointed or upset or anything like that, but it looks like there was just this hitch of expectation every now and then that was not met, and that didn't seem to bother her, but it was just a thing that you noticed.
Like she's trying to make a sale.
Could be.
Okay. So he would go over and are people still in the store?
There's a couple of people in the store, yeah.
And are they kind of like far away?
They're I'd say they're on the other side of the store from the counter. And it looks like they're sort of talking quietly at the moment.
Okay. So he would like hold out his hand and go to shake her hand.
So she'll She will hold out her hand and sort of, she gives you kind of a firm, but just on the edge of being too kind of delicate or light. It just has a little bit of pressure to it.
Yeah. As she does that, there's gold in my hand.
Okay.
So I look at her and I go, my friend Fingerlin, if you remember anything, if you stop by the Silk Scabbard later, maybe we can have a more open conversation. Not while you're at work. I don't want to bother with you all these things. You know what I'm saying.
She takes the coin, and just kind of leaves her hand resting on the counter, which conceals it very nicely and smoothly. And she says, well, as I said, I don't know the gentleman, but I will ask around, particularly when the next shift comes in, and I'll see if anybody else has found the name for you. You said the Silk Scabbard?
Oh, yeah. Stop by this evening.
And when she says that, her smile grows just a touch, and there's this almost this knowing sort of edge behind it.
Okay. So, yeah, she knows that place. He'd be like, yeah, I mean, like, just ask around, and if you do find out why he was here, maybe it's like what he bought, maybe that kind of stuff, and I make it worth your while.
So her smile goes into kind of like a half smirk when she says that, or when you say that, and she says, well, I might just have to hold you to that. What was your name?
Cloak.
Cloak. It's lovely to meet you, Cloak. My name's Layla.
Oh, hi, Layla. So yeah.
So she kind of slides her hand off the counter, and
Hi, Mark.
you lose track of the coin wherever it went there, and so she just sort of settles back a little bit, and there's this large crimson tapestry covering the wall behind her that it's strange, like her clothing and the color of her hair and the color of her eyes. It just seems to be set off by this red drapery behind her. It all coordinates, and it strikes you for a moment.
Come on, you got this. You got this, buddy.
What are we coaching me on? And it's like, so yeah. This is the weirdest episode ever. He's like, so he would look at. I have no idea what everyone's talking about right now. So, he would be like, so she's like looking very like, is it magical?
No, I mean it doesn't appear to be. I mean, there's no. I mean, without casting detect magic or getting a pretty up close examination of it, there's really no way to tell. I mean, it just looks like it looks like a decorative wall hanging. It doesn't even have like a particular picture that it's depicting at all. It looks like it's embroidered. It has some interesting texture to it, and it's just sort of it's like a splash of color that really sets off just the area, sets it apart from the rest of the rest of the shop. And maybe it's coincidence, but it seems like it's probably deliberate. It's just like it's kind of her color, if that makes sense.
Okay. He's like, well, yeah, wow, that's okay. That really suits you very well. Well, hey, yeah, I'll see you later then. And then he turns around and starts making his way out.
As you make your way out, she says, with just a little bit of a purr to her voice, I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay, bye.
Was Tilly watching all of this?
Oh, yeah.
Tilly's wondering how this whole party now has crushes on other people.
I go where people
someone has a crush on the cloak, and he's just like,
I give them what they need.
Someone has a crush on Cloak, and he's just not picking up on it.
Tilly will lean down a Cloak and say, I thought about hitting
Something
on her,
like
but
that.
she seemed to be keen on you a bit.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, she brightened up quite a bit in the conversation about meeting you later.
I mean, that's weird. Like, is that a thing? Do humans and gnomes hook up a lot?
I don't know. I'm a dwarf on dwarf kind of girl, but I just want to let you know.
Oh, okay.
And
okay,
there's
well,
our World Tree quote for tonight.
I'm a dwarf on dwarf type of girl. There we go.
Hot dwarf singles in your area.
All right.
Beard to beard. Beard to beard. Okay.
Oh my God. Taking a turn, ladies and gentlemen. It's taking a turn.
And my axe.
Hide your children, hide your elves.
Call it a mine. A mine. I'll stop. Okay.
All right. So the two of you make your way out of the book fetish, having had an interesting encounter there, although so far not terribly fruitful. Where would you like to head? Do you want to go back and meet up with everyone at the Silk Scabbard?
No, I'm going to that address.
Oh, yeah. You're swinging by the house. That's right. So, in the meantime, we've got Rowan White and her assistants trying to brew up some sort of recreational substance in the hotel room. Is that correct?
Excellent. Yes.
Right. So
this is the episode of Breaking Bad.
So you, Rowan, you spend a moment in silent prayer to Wotan. You touch the medallion holy symbol at your throat, and you feel for a moment you can see through your scarred, milky eye. And as you gain that vision for just a second, knowledge flows through you, and suddenly you understand perfectly what you have to do. It was really quite simple. You're not sure why it was an issue at all. And so why don't you make me an intelligence check with proficiency?
Okay.
You could also we could do wisdom as well. Either way,
Wisdom would be preferred.
wisdom is a little bit more of a practical application for this.
So then I'll just add +3 to this. So that will be a 14.
Glaz, are you just sort of observing, or are you assisting? What are you doing in there?
I think Glaz
Rioden is probably no help whatsoever.
Glaz is assisting, and once it starts to become chemistry, he gets very interested. And assuming that this takes cooking, and because he's curious, will probably bring out the flame to us to cook over to see if any fun, exciting things happen because of that.
So Glaz produces a. Have you seen the Heart of Flame yet, Rowan? I don't know that you have.
No.
Probably not the lantern.
So
yeah.
Glaz produces a wrought iron lantern, and he opens the shutters on the side, the interesting little hoods that can be used to shade the light. And inside is a bright sapphire blue flame. And you can tell immediately, even beyond the color, something is strange, otherworldly about this flame. It's not merely a magical light. It's not a simple continual flame spell. It is something special. And the light that washes over you is incredibly warm. You can almost feel the wave of heat prickle across your skin. Not necessarily uncomfortable, but definitely noticeable and probably much hotter than a flame of that size should be. And so he offers that up in use in creating your concoction. So we'll go ahead and call that advantage. You can roll another die and see if you do better.
How curious.
Not so much.
That's even worse.
All right.
Well,
so with a total of a 14, I would say that you managed to come up with one usable dose of something. And so you've
taken all the potion bottles and drug bottles that have been kind of scattered across Riordan's room, and just washing them in the bathtub, and is now using them.
Making bathtub hash, great.
All right, what that is, you know?
So thankfully, you don't need your proficiency very long to be able to set this process up, but it will take it a while for it to sort of boil and then reduce and distill down into a usable sort of substance. So Rioden, you're impatient, but she assures you that tonight you'll have something worth talking about.
All right. That's fine by me.
Trust me, this will be unlike anything that you've ever quite experienced.
How ominous. Well, can we get drunk in the meantime, at least? Do you drink?
I mean...
Your people, do you drink?
I mean, I can drink, but I prefer not to.
What do you do for fun?
Well, I live on my own, so there isn't much fun in my life.
Well, how about I show you fun in Zobek City? Zobekian style. I'm the best person for it. And we don't have to do any drugs, and there doesn't have to be any sex unless we want to. And I'll just show you the sights, like the best places to go. How's that sound? You're new in the city.
She sort of raises what passes for an eyebrow, so just raises the feathers on one side, and like, well, I don't think that many people would want to lay an almost 200-year-old raven lady.
That's gross. Don't say that. Word is just on. No.
Oh, what, you prefer the word fuck?
Yes. It's the fuck house, it's not the lay house. That'd be odd. But I think it would be fun. What do you think, Glad? Wouldn't it be fun?
Glaz is looking very questioningly at Rowan and goes, so, having just his mind doing his mind, goes, do you lay eggs?
That's my question.
I actually don't. Dungeon Master, am I mammal or avian?
I think they lay eggs.
I think I lay eggs. I haven't had too many partners in the past.
Both Glass and Rioden just let the awkward silence. Right. Well, you'll fit right in with the rest of us.
So, and you cannot have two better tour guides because I am sure that there are very few places that Riodan and I ever cross paths other than here. So, between the two of us, you probably can pretty much see all of Zobek. You should see the
all the nerdy
section.
stuff today. Yeah, you've seen all the good stuff. Now come enjoy the bad stuff with me.
We go to the gear district. There's lots of shiny things there.
Talking. Let's do bad things.
Why do I want to see it
together? For once, let's enjoy ourselves. And then I'll come home and I'll do my drugs. And then I'll shut up.
But if it's bad, why do I want to see it? If it's bad, does it mean it's not worth seeing?
When
just because something's bad doesn't mean that it's
good.
Not enjoyable. Right. It's good to be bad. Sometimes to indulge.
Well, Rowan's going to roll the dice and ask Wotan, should I go along with whatever Riodan is planning?
Come on a bender with me. It'll be great.
All right. Go ahead and make a wisdom check.
They've been going great so far. Okay, that's a 15.
You get the rune equivalent of sure.
Thank you, Rowan.
We could go to the Glass Blowers Guild or to the Gear Grinders Emporium.
Don't listen to him anymore.
I have done many things in my life, but I don't think I've ever done anything on offer in this city.
Right. Let's do something fun. Let's see Zobek for all its sordid sights. And for once, enjoy ourselves by doing something that we shouldn't do.
How about we do a little bit of both?
Sure. All right. Let's start downstairs. The fuck house is where it's at. Drinks are on you, by the way, because I have no money, so you're going to be paying for all of this.
I can get us drinks.
All right.
How long am I expected brewing to take as well?
Probably a few hours. I mean, it'll probably be done. It's probably going to be done roundabout time that I'd say after dinner, perhaps. It'll be ready.
Don't worry, I've never had any trouble with fires in here, so it'll be fine. Leave it on.
He says, and
She
you
looks
look
at-
rather pointedly at the scorch mark and spilled wax on the side table.
Yeah.
Glaz has basically got out like the Zobek's visitor's guide. Then we could go through the honorable order of the weavers, or the ancient order of the jewelers, or the shrine of the clores of Perun. There's also the Carpenters Brotherhood and the Coopers Union and the Order of Arms and Armory, and he's just rattling off the most boring things ever. I'm sure Rio has a whole different list he's rattling off.
Table for free, and he's
So he's rattling off the shots he's ordering right now downstairs from Sir John. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, so you guys settle in at a
Just a
table
question.
and... oh, sure.
Do you have an abattoir around here? I believe that's what you call them.
like a sex dungeon. Sure. Sure, I'll show you mine if you want.
This old raven folk is just has her beak open and is stunned and wordless.
Well, about then the drinks show up.
Glaz immediately shoots whatever was put in front of him, whatever Riordan ordered.
Riordan, what did you order? Did you order a variety of things? Did you get, Glaz loves mead? Did you get him mead, or did you go for something harder? Oh, he's frozen.
It's
we might have lost
frozen.
All right. So while we await the word of Riordan, we will jump back to our other contingent, Cloak and Tilly.
Yeah.
You guys make your way. Back from the Collegium district after your discussion about the book fetish. You cross the bridge, and to your left you can see the shrine of Saint Charon, and to the right you can see the address that you were given. There is a small flat on the corner there, just around the side of a building near the water, and that appears to be your destination.
Yeah. As I walk up, does it seem busy over there?
At the flat?
Yeah.
No, not none. I mean, there's maybe a little bit of foot traffic here or there, but it's not like a busy traffic artery or anything that you're going up. You're basically going up a side street that ends in essentially a little park, a little greenery, and there's some houses and shops thereby.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go up to where the address is and kind of go up and look at Tilly and be like, this might, I don't know. Let's see if anyone's home.
All right, you want me to keep my distance back, or you want me to come up there with you?
Yeah, you can come up with me. That's fine.
Fine.
Puff Puff trots happily along, her armor kind of jingling softly.
So as we approach, I'm going to pound on the door and then listen if there's movement inside.
Okay, so you pound you pound on the door, and after a moment, there is no response from inside.
Okay. Is there any strange smells?
Let's see. No, you don't notice any alchemical weirdness or anything.
Okay. Is there a window that I can peer through?
Yep, there is indeed a window, and it looks like there are curtains inside that are drawn, so you can see some rough spun wool.
Does the window open?
You try. No, it does not look like it opens. They're just glass panes set into a frame.
Okay.
You think
Am I
there's a
able
back
to,
door or something?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Let's go and then kind of case the area a little bit and see, try to get hold of someone's attention.
So there's no back door, but there is another window around the back.
Curtains drawn on that one.
This one, there are curtains, but it looks like there's just a little bit of a gap. They're not pulled all the way closed. It's dark inside.
Okay.
There's no light emanating.
What can I see?
You peek inside, and you blink as your dark vision resolves the interior, and you can see the sort of monochrome scale outline of a small kitchen.
Does it look like it's in order?
Yeah, from the little bit that you can see, it appears to be in order. It's small, it's very sparse, but you can see that there are a few utensils and cooking vessels, and they're all very orderly, hanging from hooks on the wall.
Okay.
This is where your friend Phelan lived, eh?
Well, supposedly. It doesn't look like anything's moved about in there as he's like peering in the window. I'm gonna go. Is there a neighbor?
Yeah, there are neighbors.
Okay. I'm gonna go to the neighbor to the right, and go and say, let's go talk to them and see if there's anything going on over there.
Sure. I'm sure they
Okay.
saw something.
Right.
If anything.
Yeah.
All right,
Or the last time I was here, at least.
You head over to the neighbor's house and you knock on the door. A moment later, you can see some light spilling out from the windows. So it looks like there are some torches or lamps or the like lit inside there. And you see a little flash of movement as someone approaches the door. A moment later, the curtain on the door, the little window in the door, is pulled aside, and you see a sort of a short woman, human appears to be, with sort of very dark skin, and her hair is in these is very tightly curly and kind of frames her face and her head. And she kind of looks out and she looks a little perplexed. She opens up the door and says, "Yes, hello. Can I help you?"
Yeah, I'm actually here to ask about your neighbor Phelan. He works with the I forgot their name already. Hold on. The name that's super zoomed out. Okay, there we go.
Chartered Brotherhood of Alchemists.
Yes, the Brotherhood of Alchemists. They haven't seen him in a while, and they wanted me to come over and check up because they're busy throughout the day and all that kind of stuff. And they wanted me to come see if he was home or if there was anything. Have you seen him lately?
So she kind of blinks as you cloak all over her, and she says, "No. Well, I know Phelan, not well. We've spoken a few times. I haven't seen him in a while."
Yeah, I mean, even his lab was like pretty pristine. There's no one's seen him in a while, so I was really kind of curious. But yeah, when's the last time you remember seeing him?
Well, I suppose it was last week, sometime.
Okay. Yeah, that's the last time they saw him.
Celia will lean over. Have you seen anybody else come by the house, or has it just been fairly quiet since he's been gone?
Oh, yeah, good question.
Oh, that is a good question. Let's see what she has noticed.
I watch a lot of true crime.
Not shit. Wow.
She says, "No, I'm sorry. I haven't noticed anyone or anything." She shrugs kind of helplessly at you. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you something more.
No, I did one more question. Which one of your neighbors? He's like looking at the other houses. Which one's the nosy one? She
kind of blinks and says, "I'm sorry?"
You know, like the nosy neighbor. You never had a nosy neighbor where they're all like up in your business and they like keep track and always like looking through the window at you whenever you're like coming and going and all that kind of stuff.
She kind of thinks for a moment. Go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check.
At advantage.
Because
I love
Nihheim
this.
gnome.
Nihheim gnome. 8.
Ooh.
No.
She says, "Well, no, I'm sorry. I don't think I know anyone that would be able to help you. If there's nothing else, I should really get back inside."
No, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
and
she's
then
sort of.
mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, no, you can describe because I was saying what I was doing when I was leaving.
Yeah, she just smiles briefly at both of you and then closes the door and heads back into her house.
Do you think
Okay.
she's a nosy neighbor? Maybe she didn't want to answer.
Apparently
you.
not.
Yes, that.
No, she would have seen something, and I don't think she saw anything. Let's look at the neighbor on the left side and see if they know anything. And then kind of walk over there and knock on the door.
So you're going to a different neighbor's? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that neighbor to the left.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and make me just kind of gonna pull the same deal?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check. Again with your
At
advantage.
advantage. I had to say it like that. That's
It's in the
there we
contract.
go. 7.
Oh, wow.
Fuck, dude. I'm
All right.
doing
So
well.
you guys spend some time canvassing the neighborhood, and unfortunately, you don't come up with any useful information. It seems like Phelan, for the most part, kept to himself, and while a few of the neighbors, knew him or at least of him, nobody has anything new or interesting to tell you.
Okay. The one thing I want to take note of at nighttime, does this seem to be like a quiet area, or do you think it'd be more noisy because of the brook nearby or the river?
This area is, I mean, it's relatively quiet. Let me see. You got a river right nearby. So, particularly, there's been a lot of rain recently, and the current is swift. So there's a fair amount of water noise.
Okay. I Cloak remembers that for later. Okay, so he would be like, yeah, it doesn't look like anyone knows anything. Hey, well, so I guess let's head back to the fuck house and see if they are doing a bunch of drugs. Unless you want anything to do.
No, I mean, I'm sure it's going to get dark soon. We need to go back anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Let's go!
So you guys head
Do you
back.
have no other information about your friend?
I might find out some later if that one lady shows up. I already forgot her name because I'm so good with names. I don't think I learned her name.
Lena?
Oh, Lila. Layla?
Layla.
Layla!
Thank you, Eric.
Cocaine's a hell of
You're
a
quite a
drug.
good
Thank you. I made it up myself. No one ever came up with that. Lila comes there. Maybe she gets some information and see what she knows.
All right. So you guys head back to the Silk Scabbard. You get there. It's probably late afternoon at this point. You make your way into the room, into the common room, and you see your 3 companions at one of the large round tables. They've kind of got the table to themselves, and there are empty glasses in front of them. So, Riodan, what have you been buying people? With, Billy or Glaz's money. Shots. All right. So no mead for you, Glaz. You're jumping straight into the hard stuff.
It's
Well,
easy.
I took the first one. We'll see whether he took more than that, but he definitely, when the first one showed up after the whole Arbitoire thing and the invitation to Riordan's sex dungeon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So how much hard drinking are we doing? I mean, clearly Riodan's going to tie one on.
I encourage everyone very strongly
or not.
to drink
Or not.
to
Yeah.
excess.
Rowan
That would like
is,
peer
is,
pressure everyone.
Rowan is drinking, but she's
All
finding
right.
it's not having anywhere near as much effect as it did in her youth.
All right. Let's see. So how much are you drinking, Glass? Are you trying to resist drinking, or are you going to get pressured, especially as Riodan gets more and more lubricated, shall we say? Going to try and.
That word was charged.
I think it's probably depending on how awkward Riodan gets, It's going to be Glass. He probably doesn't get super drunk, but it's probably worth a. He probably does. He's not used to shots, so he probably does a couple shots, and then we'll switch to mead once he sort of takes the ordering. He's also a big guy, so.
So Glaz is not used to shots. He's going to do a couple in pretty rapid succession and then maybe try to slow down. So why don't you go ahead and make me a Constitution check?
Try to slow down.
I will call it a Constitution saving throw.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all right, you're fine. So you're probably at this point you're nursing a pretty solid buzz, but you're not into any sort of serious inebriation. Riodan, we're going to go ahead and
edge off of Riodan.
Right.
Right. I reckon Riodan's got such a tolerance to intoxicants.
Riodan, we're going to go ahead and say, yeah. Like, are you seriously tying one on, or are you just going a little bit?
Yeah, no, he wants to make sure everyone's having a good time. This is like his wheelhouse now. This is the time that he gets to show everyone what a fun time it is.
So we'll go ahead and say that that Riodan is pretty well lit up at this point. And Rowan, you've been drinking as well. Why don't you go ahead and make me a Constitution saving throw with advantage.
Okay.
Oop. All right. So you're a little bit in the same boat as Glaz. You're a little surprised that you're not particularly drunk at this point, but you have maybe just a little bit of a tingle, a little bit of a lightening of some of your worries going on, and up to you to decide how she responds to just a gentle inebriation. So you guys come in, and it looks like your friends are several cups into some hard liquor.
See, isn't it fun? Look, oh, there are the others. Cloak.
Yeah.
Telly. Come along. Come and join us. Have a good drink.
Okay.
Tilly notice how
He's looking around.
He's probably off his breath from across the room. Oh. Hey, we're drinking ale. Two, please. Just for me. She goes over to the table.
All right.
I mean, I'm not having fun yet, but I'm. It's an experience.
Leo then has decided that he wants to show Rowan the town. Cloak.
Well, if I'm going to be the savior of the world, then I want to know who I'm saving. So the best way to figure that out is to get drunk with everyone, and I'm going to fuck off and do some drugs in a bit. So that's my plan.
I mean, I don't know that's any different than when he was, I really can't tell the difference from past him to now him.
It's good that way, isn't it?
Oh, trust me, this concoction I've made, it will be a life-changing experience for him.
You have to admit, though, Rowan, even if you're not having the best time, it is a little bit enjoyable, isn't it? Why don't we all tell each other stories? You like stories?
I do love stories. Now, if you were to tell me stories, then that would be fun.
All my stories are sordid and involve drugs and sex, which you're not really into. Has anyone else got a story they want to tell?
Well, trust me, I've heard a lot of it. I may live on my own, but I have all sorts who come to visit me.
Wait, are you a hooker?
What does? Are you a hooker? This changes everything.
No, I'm a prophet. I'm a seer.
Is that like a raven folk hooker thing?
Did you see a lot?
I'd be into that.
Cloak.
Wait, what?
Cloak. She lays eggs. Glass is a little drunk. She lays eggs.
Is that?
Yeah, she does.
I mean,
Is that in your window?
It's a bit rude to talk about a lady's movements while she's sitting right next to you, but yes, I apparently do lay eggs, though I have not seen some, as you children say, action in many years.
Tilly,
well, we got to change
one
that.
pint of ale, leans over and says, "Speaking of ladies' movements, Cloak here has a date for the evening."
Cloak, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I was talking to a human lady, and apparently,
It's dark. I find.
yeah, she was like laying down a lot of stuff thick, but I was like a little confused because I mean, human on gnome action, it just seems kind of weird, and I've never heard of it. But, I mean,
let me tell you this, Cloak. I would happily
it's not
watch it.
attractive at all. Why would she be hitting on you?
I don't know.
Look, it was
Maybe
very
she
apparent.
just
She was real excited to come and meet us here tonight.
Kind of got this
I mean-
sexy status thing about it going on.
yeah, her hair
Well,
looks
there
like
must have been
honey.
something else going on because I don't see how it could be possible.
Have
Glasses.
Also,
have you
yeah,
considered,
did you know that?
His tongue is a little looser than normal.
have you
Yeah.
considered that you do have a dog with you, and it is a very cute dog.
Girls love dogs.
Oh, well, yes. If you had Puff Puff, then I can see that. She just likes the
I
dog.
love dogs. Who doesn't
Yeah,
like a
well,
dog?
the-
That's a great
The
method.
place was
Someone
called the
stole a
Fetish.
puppy just to get sex.
It was the Book Fetish. Have you been to the Book Fetish?
I'm going, let me tell you. Name like that.
All right,
There's-
Glaz, you've heard of the book fetish. You've never been there. You know it's apparently a bookstore somewhere in the Collegium district. You've heard someone mention it. Yeah, you've heard someone mention it in the Hedgehog. You never have had occasion to go there. You usually go to the library first.
Yeah, you know what's weird? They had a reagent there. It was a flour, and if you dry it up and crush it and put it into a tea, it makes you not have babies when you get it on.
That's not.
I wonder
That's
why
how
Are we
you're
just now?
looking
Wait, are we just now learning about this? How old are you, Cloak?
Well, no, it stops the babies from happening because
Did
you drink
nobody
it.
give you
It's
the talk?
It's a contraceptive. Yeah, I know I know where babies come from.
Why were you at the book fetish?
That look was priceless.
I was just asking around about information about people and seeing what's going on and following leads and that and so. But
Doing
What
a
kind of
little errand
information?
for a little errand for Kaiser. That is all
Let's
I'll
just-
say.
I am still shocked that we are only now learning about contraceptives as a group, which is tragic on many levels.
Tilly,
But
Tilly
probably
Walker,
just as well.
second
it's
pint
a flower
chug
for
goes,
me.
there was this real great large red tapestry though that I couldn't get my mind or eyes off of. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it really blended in with her. And then she's a dwarf on dwarf girl. If you guys didn't know that.
I mean,
Are you
obviously.
now?
A dwarf
I
on
do know
dwarf
of.
girl. Sorry.
You've never dipped your toes in the Forbidden Sea.
I've been in many a seas, lad, but not on yours. Thank you, though.
My sea, goodness, no. It's more of a lagoon, if anything.
Just saying, you
So-
could on everything that's walked
More
by.
of a
I've not
slump.
breathed heavily, so no.
I was under the impression it was more of a puddle.
So, Cloak,
Sometimes you step in it by accident. That is quite enjoyable.
I'm still wondering
Shadow.
why you would have headed that direction.
Following a lead, trying to find a missing person.
What is this? The Zobekian
Who's
Inquisition? He went to a fetish store. Isn't that normal? I go all the time.
Who is missing?
Phelan?
I don't think
You
we were
guys
there for
ran
that
out the door.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
think
was like,
we
you
were there for
guys ran out the door after the bird. I stayed
I
back
ran
and
after
had a
Rio then
conversation.
because, well, Rio then.
I mean, I don't blame you. I'm just saying.
The lovable
I was-
rogue.
I thought you were
So there's a
priest.
missing
No, cleric.
person?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he works with the arcane or the alchemist brotherhood, and so we went and talked to them, and then some of his paperwork had a bunch of like chemistry jargon on it. I didn't know how to read it, but I did understand it was the book fetish. So I went to the book fetish and started talking to Lila, and then Lila was just like, "Oh yeah, you're really cool, and I like you," and I was like, "Okay, that's cool. I'll meet
I
me
don't
at
really
the
remember
silk
it
shop."
going quite like that,
But-
but
So who's
Yeah,
looking
totally.
for him? The
Close enough.
alchemists are trying to find him?
Thalgor. And if he's in the room, I don't know.
I mean, are you referring to Theldro?
Theldro, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so good at names.
Yeah. So yeah, you point over and you can see one of the dwarf employees of the establishment. He is currently seated at one of the booths, and he is conversing with a lovely human woman. And they seem to be just kind of laughing and having just kind of a deep conversation over a few drinks.
Do I know that he is one of the followers of Morena? Does Glaz know that?
How much attention do you pay to that sort of thing in general?
Glaz probably doesn't.
Okay, so I'll let you go ahead and make a wisdom perception check with disadvantage to see what you've picked up on.
The biggest thing whether we maybe would have seen him hanging around, because we do know what's her name. Sorry, Rioden's patron
Kaja.
is.
Yeah,
we know that Kaja. We all know that Kaja is a worshiper of Morena. Okay, and so maybe if I somehow saw him,
and you know that
Kaja,
several of the companions in the Silk Scabbard are followers of the Red Maiden.
Okay, so wisdom, you said check or save?
Perception, wisdom perception check.
Oh, perception. Okay, sorry. Perception. Am I any good at perception? No, not really. We'll see.
Not so much.
Oh, that's a 3. Damn it.
Nope. Nope.
Nope. Because I think without that piece of information, I can't tell you what I suspect.
Okay.
Of what was going on.
That's just inebriated.
So you probably all get pretty hungry around this point. We'll say that we kind of things roll on toward dinner time. You can order some food, have a meal there at the Silk Scabbard, and then just about the time you're finishing up, there have been people coming and going this whole time. The place is starting to fill up a little bit more, and it looks like there's a bout about to happen in one of the fighting pits. You can see a couple of burly individuals stripped to the waist and sort of wrapping their knuckles with leather and cloth strips, sort of getting hyped up, and people are starting to congregate toward the pits and lining the balcony overlooking them, and you can hear the clink of coin beginning to change hands, and bookies furiously scribbling down notes. About that time, the front door opens, and speaking of burly individuals, a great, heavily muscled, slightly paunchy human man, probably in his early to mid 40s, with this kind of wavy, shortish black hair and a great full beard, comes in, and you can see a black tattoo peeking out on the side of his neck that sort of peeks out from a collar. He steps in, claps his big meaty hands together, and scans the room. His dark eyes fall on your table. He breaks into a wide, toothy grin, and he heads straight for the bar. He leans over, kind of clasps hands with Drajan, chats with him for a moment, and then loops back to you guys. He walks up to the table and says, "Good evening, my friends. It is wonderful to see you again. I appreciate the invitation very much." He looks around, and then his face sort of grows just a little bit more somber, and he says, "My condolences on the loss of your friend. He was a good man."
Iron Ranger.
Indeed. But he looks to Tilly and Rowan. "Ladies, I apologize. How rude of me. My name is Vandessian Thrick. I am overjoyed to meet both of you. Thrick with 2 Ks.
I was assuming that you were the famed Vandessian Thrick, and she'll just put out her gnarled hand to shake his.
He shakes her hand. He has a firm shake, but he doesn't do that bullshit hand crusher, a-hole handshake.
Tilly, who at this point is really excited about the fight in the fighting pit, who's probably stood next to the table peering over the crowd, just goes, "Aye, it's Tilly, who else?" and goes back to looking at the fight.
Perfect. So he gestures to one of the open chairs and says, "May I join you? I've taken the liberty of ordering around."
My
Until
kind
he
of
turns
guy.
back from the fight and sits down.
Keep an eye on the fight for me. I've got a bet on. It's important. Frick.
All right,
Yeah,
so,
it's like a teenager playing a video game as well. He's like, yeah, Frick. It's good to see you. Oh, that's a good one.
Right. So he settles down. The round comes over, and there's a drink placed before all of you. It looks like it is ale all around with mead for glass. And he picks up his tankard, lifts it, and says, "Chicane, friends."
Cheers.
Right. So after you all toast or not, he takes a big swig and then wipes the foam from his lip and beard. Now, refresh me. Did you guys tell him like why you wanted to see him? Or is it just that you were looking for information he might be able to help?
I think it was sort of we were looking for information with the idea of if he's heard anything strange. The question, I mean, this is kind of for the group, is how much about the visions, both Riodan's and Rowan's, do we want to share with Thrick?
I'll be honest.
I know
I'll
the
tell this man
message
anything if you
to-
let me.
The message to him could only be like 20 words long or something. It was pretty
Right.
short. So
Yeah, so we probably didn't tell him much of anything. It was pretty much just come. Yeah, that's right. Remember, I counted it all out for the 24 words.
I was remiss and didn't go back and re-listen to the message. So let's see. Were you sending him about
that we wanted to new I forget. I think it was something along the lines of new development with I think I said with Shadow Road, because it was some of his trade that was disrupted. Or was he involved with that? I can't remember what I said.
Not really.
I'll explain it to him. Rick, we're here because I'm the savior of the world, and all of these nerds are here to make me their god.
Fantastic!
Also,
Congratulations,
I'm
my
not sure.
friend. And he sort of claps you on the shoulder with his big meaty hand.
What a firm grip you have.
Yeah, he just sort of lifts his drink and takes a swig. So, how is it that I may be of service to you?
We are
No idea.
strange
drugs.
happenings. We are trying to figure out. You have ears everywhere. You have a much larger network than we have. These two
Whistles everywhere,
ladies
too.
have traveled here all the way from the far north of a vision of the end of the world. And Riodan has had a vision as well. We believe he saw a world tree burning. And we saw also one of the
Dream.
Dread Walkers while we were at Castle Shadowcrag, with the use of impossible void magic, gets translocated across in the blink of an eye. It should not be possible. You know that. I know that. Things like that don't happen. So there is something is afoot, and theoretically, Riodan's gonna save us all. I'm not convinced.
I'm not yet convinced, and I was the one who was told that he was the scion.
Woltan, we have the speaker of Woltan and the warrior of Woltan sent on a mission from him. This all-seer himself, all-seer, all-god,
What part of
all-father.
Wotan I am then?
He's got all kinds of names. It's probably close enough. Yeah.
Rune Father, the All-Father, the All-Seeing
Yeah.
Eye.
Ah, that's it, the all-seeing eye.
So he purses his lips. He says, "Much of that sounds, all of it, in fact, sounds most ominous. I'm afraid I don't have much of a line on any of this strange magical goings on, but I do have a fairly firm grasp of the pulse of illicit and otherwise lurking beneath the light of the day dealings within Zobek and about in the surrounding environs. If there's something along those lines I might be able to help with, then I would be happy to see what I could do."
Well,
It is possible.
the Xylus family, if I recall, if I got the right one, who was tied up in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have that name? Hold on.
Yeah, the Xylus family was tied up with all of this.
Dervin Dalvik?
Yes.
Dervin Dalvik is a guy who worked with the for a family in Zealous Human
I've got
Command.
Dervin Solzeg, servant of the Xylus family.
I thought it was
Anyway.
Dalvik.
Anyway,
Solzeg. I might have just gotten it wrong. Maybe it was
Who
Delvig.
do we trust on names here? Is the question. Do we trust McLaughlin?
like consistently tonight, I've called people by the wrong name, and that's because I'm terrible with names.
Yeah. So, seeing as the Xylus family was tied up in all of this before, whether they are beginning to, we know that they deal in some of the illicit substances that you talk about, or things that might be coming in from the shadow realm. In fact, we know that shadow magic, void magic, it all seems connected with perhaps what is going on. And
Speaking
usually
of
if
the void
there
magic,
is, if someone's dealing in those areas, someone wants to make money off of it.
Graz, you did say that you had found something
Wait, I
to
found
do
out
with the
something.
void
What?
magic.
Yes. He kind of looks back to Thrick and then across from him. And we have found a remnant.
Thing.
A powerful. We recovered a powerful remnant of void magic ourselves that we are protecting.
all right. As I said, that's well beyond my wheelhouse, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'd say
gonna be
if
able
nothing
to
else,
help
if you
much with
just
that.
have your ear to the ground and perhaps of any movements of new and maybe illicit items. And of course, as you know, I think we spoke before that if you ever hear any more about any Vril artifacts moving around, I'm always interested.
Certainly.
I do have a question.
Oh yes, of course.
I don't suppose that you've heard any ruminations of any emissaries or agents of the Blood Kingdom coming down so far south or into the city.
I have not heard of any overt movements, certainly not of troops, and I haven't heard any rumblings of clandestine operatives, at least nothing that is stirred up much trouble. However, that is a disturbing suggestion. You suspect that they might be involved?
I'm not sure whether they are involved, but I suspect that there might be some kind of movements towards the south. Or
That may be
towards
something I
where
can
they
help you
believe-
with.
Towards where they believe the not so much interlopers, but the dissidents. And she sort of glances at Riordan.
He kind of arches a big bushy eyebrow and flashes it over. All right, savior of the world. Good. Right. So that is an angle that at least I have connections that could be useful, and I would be happy to look into it for you.
That is
Also-
most welcome.
I'm curious, how are things going with the Cloven Nine?
He kind of harumps a little bit. He says, difficult. Something has touched off some hostilities between their people and mine. There have been a few scuffles. Nothing terribly bloody just yet, but it's probably only a matter of time before someone ends up dead, and then I'll have to destroy them.
I'm concerned, as I've done more research and thought more on our last conversation. You spoke of devil writing. That was unnatural,
Yes.
and I'm now wondering, perhaps if what your men, being not as scholarly as some others, just they are hired help, that they were mistaking the devil writing as perhaps void script, and that maybe this Cloven 9 could be somehow tied up in some void magic, something bigger than they might know about.
We are fair certain it was infernal.
Ah, that is fine. Just a hunch on my part as I was ruminating.
The alphabet was clear enough. I've seen infernal and abyssal, the fiendish languages from a time or two. So that
True
much at
devil
least
writing.
is fair certain. Yes. Yes, indeed. So
we are grasping at straws a little here because, he kind of looks over at Riadan. Well, yeah.
Don't put this one on me. You're the ones that say it's the end of the world. I'm just having a good time here. If you can't prove it's the end of the world, that's all on you nerds for not having found it in a book somewhere. I'm here having a drink.
Well, since you're showing some concern regarding the Blood Kingdom's movements, perhaps I should go and speak to a few of my people sooner rather than later. I'm sure you would like to have warning or word as quickly as possible.
Also, have you... She's just going to lower her voice a bit. Have you heard or seen of Phelan recently?
Phelan. That is a name that rings a bell. Pardon me a moment. He sort of leans back and snaps his fingers a couple of times, and one of the people that drifted in at some point after him kind of catches notice of this out of the corner of her eye, and she comes kind of sauntering over. It's a woman who looks like she carries herself as a soldier, as a fighter. She's dressed in pretty simple leather armor, but you can see scars on her knuckles and kind of across her wrists and forearms that are exposed, and one across her face that speaks of some pretty serious action. And she has a shield, much like the tattoo on Thrick's neck, but it's a brand on her neck. And she has kind of... Yep, same woman as last time. You guys who saw her before recognize her. So she kind of tosses you all just a short nod by way of greeting, and he says, "Pardon me, my dear. Did you recall the name Phelan? It's. I've heard it. I know it, but I can't place why. Perhaps you could help me." And she purses her lips a moment, and she says, "Phelan. He was the one who was tied up with that tiefling, the tiefling drug runner." And he says, of course!
You should meet with him.
Yes, that was it. I believe he was a chemist of some sort, unless I miss my guess.
Yes, with the Brotherhood of the Alchemists.
Sounds like a great guy.
Certainly. Yes, we know that he was having some dealings with an enterprising merchant of illicit goods, with whom we have had dealings in the past.
We are concerned for his whereabouts.
Well, I should think you would be. This particular tiefling has turned up dead.
What about his drugs? Are they all right?
Her drugs, I couldn't say. Perhaps there were a few found on her cooling corpse.
Good. That is good. At least the drugs are all right.
Where was her corpse found? Somewhere in the city, or?
Well, it was actually found dumped near the riverbank.
The same river that runs behind his house?
I couldn't say for all that. I could tell you that it was just off the gullet.
Which part's the gullet again?
Just past the Puffing Bridge. So the gullet is that long kind of bar of land with all the docks, and then the bridge just the bridge just down from that, I would say south, but the compass is flipped. The bridge just down from that is the Puffing Bridge. So, yeah, apparently her body came jammed up under one of the pilings. It was found there.
How many moons ago was this?
Oh, I mean, he kind of like struggles for a minute and then looks up at the woman again, and she says, 5 days she was found.
How's she killed?
Quite recent.
Well, you know, I would imagine perhaps the usual way. What? And so the woman kind of rolls her eyes a little bit and says, not sure exactly. She showed signs of being beaten, as well as some deep cuts. But she'd been in the water. She'd been in the water. She'd been in the water for at least a while.
Okay.
Where is her body being stored?
Where would her body be stored? 5 days ago, it has probably been taken and basically taken by the city and buried in essentially a commoner's grave.
Other than the drugs on her, did she have any other belongings, or where would those have gone? Did she have anybody?
She says, well, it's possible that the watch or the watch may have confiscated anything of value or of note. They may have taken it and impounded it, either as evidence or to hold for next of kin, if they can.
Bunch of thieves is what they are. They always steal my drugs.
She sort of snorts at Riodan and looks at you, Tilly, and says, "I'm sorry, love. I didn't quite catch that. Say again."
Oh, I'm sorry. Who found her? Who found her body?
Not exactly certain. Someone, I think, noticed it and reported it to the watch.
Suspicious.
Couple questions. Do you know where they lived? And so you said they were a drug runner, right? Did they have any competition?
Well, I mean, there are always a few.
It's very open market, really, the drug trade. Like, people don't die over anything.
Who was her biggest competitor? That's what my follow-up question is.
I'd probably have to look into it to be sure, but there's
Did I ever buy drugs from this woman?
So, I mean, you haven't heard a name or anything yet, but Riodan, you do recall dealing with a tiefling. In fact, you dealt with one. You dealt with one. You dealt with her about a month ago, and you hawked the Heart's Blood Chris to her.
Oh, I remember this girl. Remember that thing that I had, that magic thing? I killed people, and I sold it to her for some drugs about a month back. And have to say it was a really good deal because it was some great drugs. So whoever killed her, you know, that we've got to find them because bastards.
Sorry, what magical thing that kills people is he talking about?
I had a bunch of things. I sold many of them that killed people.
Could you find out any rumors of someone who owns a Blood Chris? I mean, it's a pretty unique weapon. I mean,
Chris, I knew it was named after someone.
Thrick purses his lips and says, "Well, I mean, it's possible, but only if they were flashing it about,
or tried to fence it, or if someone has sold it."
You want to flash about?
Or if they tried to fence it. I could see if anyone tried to move such a piece through the black market. That should be child's play.
That'd be great. I'd get it back and I could buy some more drugs of it. Got me a lot.
Now, this might be a bit of an odd or difficult question. If you are able to find out where she is buried precisely, I may be able to.
You ought to dig her up. Oh.
So the Thrick.
I like
Thrick looks at the raven-haired woman, and she purses her lips, and he kind of nods once, and she sort of gives him a little touch salute to her brow and turns and leaves. I shall see what I can do.
Let's
most appreciated.
Dig up a body together and see if it has any drugs left on it. This is amazing.
Oriole.
I knew you were fun.
Now, you see, even if someone is passed, they can still give us answers.
Oh, that is sinister.
Okay.
So keep that in mind if you ever cross me.
So, Vandesian looks at you all again and says, "So, is there anything else you would you wish to inquire of me, or shall I
Yes.
begin work on this this favor straight away?"
The forest descends into necrophilia, which I feel is going to shortly, Vandesian. I'm fine with
What are you?
everything, unless you have any drugs on you right now, which would be great.
Sadly, I
Please
do not.
give him drugs.
He says with
Please
a,
do
with
not
a
listen to him.
slightly disapproving look, and he says, "Oh, Cloak,
Sorry, Dad.
think nothing of it. You owe me nothing for this. Consider it repayment for a favor that our erstwhile friend had done for me a few months back.
Okay.
From here on out, though, we're going to talk payment. Well, I shall leverage my contacts. I shall speak to people who know people, and I will bring you word as soon as I have it. I promise you that." So he stands up once again and says, "It was lovely to see you all. Ladies, it was my absolute pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to renewing our acquaintance in the future." And he sort of bows slightly at the waist, turns on his heel, and strides out.
Woof.
About then, a raucous cheer rips up from the fighting pit behind you, and you can hear the thick, heavy sound of fists being driven into muscular bodies, and then that's kind of drowned out by the noise of the crowd. About this time, you think that your concoction should be ready, Rowan. And I would say also about this time, the suggestion spell is going to lapse. That has been running all day. So Riodan, you're kind of craning to get a better look, and you're watching these two guys just pummel the absolute shit out of each other down in the sand pit. And you feel this peculiar sort of shock. Your stomach kind of drops out a little bit, like you just kind of missed a step when you were going down a staircase in the dark. You know, that sort of feeling. And you realize that that you were under some sort of compulsion.
Oh. Fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you, and especially fuck you. You think that you can trick me into not doing drugs all of the time? Well, I'm afraid that you've made a mistake. Yes, I can, and I will.
Rowan's going to use her mimicry. Rowan's using her mimicry to say, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you, back to him.
All right, so Riodan's voice issues from Rowan's beak.
God, I sound good.
Glaz takes another shot, having two Riodans.
All right.
Well, I did.
All right.
Very handsome man. Say that to me.
I did promise you drugs.
This,
I believe about
not the
this
way
time they
to
should
do
be
it.
free.
Weird little nerds. Now, I'm not going to help you with your tuna girlfriend, and I'm not going to save the world. I'm going to go upstairs and do all of my filthy, dirty drugs, because I'm a filthy, dirty boy. So,
Do you realize I could just do this to you again?
Oh, you can try. But I always break free. And that's the one thing that you'll learn tonight. Is that you can never trick Riodan.
And he also doesn't have a safe word.
That is the other thing you can learn about me. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, strike free.
All right. Why not?
Rowan will vacate the seat and start kind of Skizzix walking her way up the stairs to Riordan's room.
All right.
Glaz will go up too because he wants to fetch his Heart of Fire.
Sure. Yep. You gather your stuff. Rowan, you're pretty sure that your tincture is prepared.
when she's in the room, she's just going to look at the bottle and just sort of give it a few tinks just to check it.
So it is infused down into a sort of thick reddish suspension. It almost looks like blood.
I am headed after Van der Steen Frick, by the way.
Oh, you're after him. Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So you could probably...
I give Tilly one of these, and I give Cloak one of these, and I'm out!
I made you drugs.
Don't want your drugs. I don't trust your drugs. No longer. Screw you, Granny.
Why fuck me? What did I do?
I don't know. I'm making a statement. And
Okay.
I storm out.
All right. So you can chase down Thrick. Is there anything particular you wanted to do or say, or is it just like making a grand exit?
Yeah, I chase after him. Frick. Excuse me. Friends back there have untrustworthy drugs.
Aha. That is
I would like to pledge myself to your service.
It's a very intriguing offer. You wish to join the Black Shields?
Sure, on a kind of freelance basis. I kind of want to go and do stuff that I want to, and don't tell me what to do, but I'll do some stuff, so I can have other friends. So's not back there. I'm making a big statement right now, and I'd like to have some other friends around, so when they come crawling back to me, I can be like, ha, I've got my Black Shield friends, and we do drugs together and stuff. Maybe I get a tattoo.
He kind of looks around and says, let's hold off on the tattoo for now.
Great.
All right, I'll tell you what. If and when I hear anything from my network, I shall send them to you, and you can bring it to them. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I really am just in this for some kind of petty power play on the rest of them, so...
Well, then this should be right up your alley, my friend, and I'm only too pleased to help. And he kind of claps you on the shoulder.
I knew you were my guy. Do you know anywhere good where I can... some kind of drug den nearby, maybe? The tunnels, the cartways, you think would be good?
Well, I know that the Zealous family deals, or at least dealt, in those sorts of substances, the herbal variety anyway. You might have to find yourself an apothecary, or perhaps if you want something exotic, you might have to try the Black Lotus. The Painted Man can probably get you absolutely anything if you could pay his price.
I can't, so I'll just go to any apothecary. I'll see you then.
Right.
Later, buddy.
So he gives you a name. He gives you a name and tells you to go check with them.
You are my favorite enabler. Did you know that? Thank you.
He kind of bows again and then goes back to giving orders to a few of his droogs that had come out of the woodwork when he left the Silk Scabbard. So you're off to track down and find yourself some drugs, eh?
I sure am.
All right. Do you have any money?
I don't know. Maybe I swiped something from glass before, but...
Okay. So you might be able to scrounge up something not terribly great. Okay. So he sends you after a kobold alchemist. And he sends you to a shop near the kobold ghetto.
Wicked.
Glaz comes back thinking that Riodem was behind him. He's going to look at Cloak and go, I took him last time. It's your turn.
Huh? Oh, no. He
all afternoon.
No, he'll be fine.
Ah, get it.
Honestly, I think if Rowan, we could pay some lovely looking lady in this establishment and probably convince him to take your drug with her. I mean, it's already partially off his head on drink anyways.
And she can babysit him.
Well,
or
someone
I
needs
can
to
kill
go
him.
get him.
You're the fast talker, little one. Why don't you ask a girl? Pick the prettiest one here. I'll tip. She can get him to take the drugs that Rowan made.
I look around the room and I point at a random girl. And I go, "Whoa."
Oh boy. just any random woman in the crowd, huh?
Yeah. Do you work here?
Okay, so you're actually going to try and find someone who works there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. You can eventually track down one such person.
No? Well, how about you? Do you work here? Who the fuck works here?
Do you want to work here?
You could see Kaja whisper in the ear of a girl who then makes her way over to the table, and she says, "Hello, Cloak. What can I do for you?"
Can you? What is it? Okay, can you babysit Riordan and also have him take these drugs that she has?
But you can't tell him from us or from her.
So her face kind of hitches a little bit and says, "All right, I suppose I could manage that. What exactly are you looking for when you say babysit?" And she gives you just a very direct look.
Make sure he doesn't get killed. What do you have?
Are you looking for me to entertain him for any particular amount of time?
I mean, he'll be looking for it, but I don't have the money for that. So, but he does play a long game. So if you can keep him on a string a little bit, it might keep him entertained.
I mean, it's Riordan. I mean,
all right. So basically, you just want her to kind of tease him a bit and get him to take the damn drugs, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
like an escort.
So, right. So she will do that for 5 silver.
Drugs are a surcharge. Yeah.
Yep.
Tax deductible.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you do a really good job, he like puts 1 gold on the table.
As
Are
if
you
he
like
doesn't come
offering
back
that
to
to
us.
her?
Yeah, I'm putting on the table and it's like,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah. She takes it and tucks it into a fold in her bodice and says, "Very well. Give me the substance, if you would, please." She holds out her hand to Rowan.
I will follow you.
She frowns and says,
From a distance. From a distance.
I'm not sure that's going to work well. He seemed quite put out when he stormed out of here, did he not?
And you're not sneaky either.
Oh,
You kind of
I
are.
am
You're
sneaky.
not as easy to spot as I am.
I may be easy to spot, but I am sneaky.
You think we could send Puff Puff to follow?
No, I'm not
Talk
sending
about
Puff out.
conspicuous.
Teleporting puppies.
We trust Kaja very much so. She trusts us as well.
I just wish to see the effects of this.
What's it supposed to
If
do?
you could bring him back when he's under the effects.
I suppose I could try.
If not, I will come to meet you, and she will hand her the bottle.
Very well.
I will be able to
So
locate you.
she takes the little bottle and
Tilly
is
goes,
going
Rowan,
to-
are there any particular instructions? I don't want her or him to mess it up if there's anything you need to do.
Do not imbibe it yourself.
I had no intention to. All right, so she basically goes to stake the place out for Riordan. Eventually, do you come back to the Silk Scabbard? Riordan?
Oh, Riordan. Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I think his intention was to probably just get as high as he could.
Right.
And sort of storm off.
So I'll say that you can get some kind of low grade, not great stuff from this alchemist. And where were you going to go to take it? You're going to head back to your room at the Scabbard or somewhere else?
I guess what we could do, because I guess what he would do is like take it there and then like walk back, and he probably has a mind to like tell everyone what's on his mind, sort of thing. He's that level of belligerent
Sure.
high-end drunk where he's like, I'm going to tell them just what I think of them. I'll head back.
All right. So as you head into the scabbard, you're kind of working yourself up into a little bit of a tirade and this masterful rant that you're about to just drop on these assholes who dared screw with your deal. And as you're heading over, you can see them all kind of sitting at the table, chatting a little bit. Some of them maybe looking a bit uncomfortable. As you're headed that way, you feel a slender but firm hand on your shoulder spin you around. And it is a beautiful woman with this rich auburn hair, and she reaches up, twines her fingers in your hair at the back of your neck, pulls you down, and just kisses you incredibly deeply.
Oh, well, that's nice. I guess I've still got it.
So
He's
she
like
reaches.
covered in
She
rag.
reaches. Yeah, she reaches into her cleavage and with her 2 fingertips pulls out a little glass vial with a stopper in it and says, I heard you are looking for something to take the edge off. And you know her, you recognize her.
Can I roll an insight check on this lady? I feel like she's
Sure.
a little bit suspicious about someone just giving him drugs, but he's also an addict, so...
Sure. So I'll give you disadvantage
With
on this. You've been drinking pretty heavily.
He's been... Well, yeah,
I
he's
was about to
high.
say it's advantage.
Well, it wouldn't have helped anyway. It's an 11.
No, she seems on the up and up. It
He's
seems
like-
seems like she kind of she's
All
looking
he
deep
sees
into
is
your
drugs.
eyes, and you can just see the smolder, and the tip of her tongue darts across her lip before she bites it, and she's starting to breathe just a little bit heavier. No, she's all into you.
Yeah, he's like... I think as soon as he sees the drug, he ignores her, and he's like, drugs. Right,
So as
Well-
you start to stammer, she just sort of grabs you by the collar and pulls you with her hand up over her shoulder toward the back room, and just kind of flashes a grin and a little predatory grin and a wink off to someone else, maybe Drajan at the bar, who just kind of shakes his head and laughs.
Much as I would love to enjoy the company of your time, I really have to do the drugs that you have first. That's very important to me, that before anything else were to happen, that I were to take
All
all
right, so
of your...
he's sort of battling this as they go into the back hallway, and you folks lose sight of him. So Riodan, she drags you back into one of the rooms, shuts the door, kind of puts her hand on your chest and just shoves you backward and just right onto the bed. She crawls up onto the bed, straddling you on her hands and knees, and sort of puts her runs her fingertips and her nails across your lip and gently draws your mouth open, pops the cork off the little vial, boom,
drugs,
and then
please.
she just sort of hovers over you and begins pouring it into your mouth. So this
Sweet
liquid
nectar of life.
is almost syrupy in its consistency, but not quite, just on that edge. And it has a kind of an iron tang that is reminiscent of blood. So it is somewhat enticing, and your fangs might descend just a touch, and you can feel it immediately beginning to tingle across your tongue and your palate and down your throat as you swallow it.
He almost thinks about asking her what it is, but he doesn't care enough. It's just drugs.
Okay. All right.
It's just a mess.
So why don't you give me a Constitution saving throw?
All right, I intend to fail this one. Yes.
Well, good
Yeah,
job.
you can.
I give in to the drugs.
Good job breaking through.
Give in to the power of the tea. All right. So you just kind of lay back, and this tingling begins to spread through your body. And she sort of leans back a bit. She kind of stays there, just sort of draped over you, up on her hands and knees. And she just kind of runs her nails over your chest as you feel this stuff start to course and work its magic. Immediately your perception and awareness becomes fuzzy in the most euphoric and delightful way. That taste of iron in your mouth gets thicker and stronger, and as it goes on, you can begin to see things kind of moving in your peripheral vision. You look
cool.
around. Yeah. So it's
Hello.
like. You see what looks like maybe indistinct silhouettes or shapes, maybe of figures. Like there are people sort of peeking out from behind the woman, kind of perched over you, and the movements become a little bit more erratic, and they start to come closer.
Come here, where I can see you. You
All right.
naughty little shadow people.
So the woman over you starts to dig her nails in just a little bit. Your shirt is still on, so it's protecting you mostly, but you can feel kind of the pressure and the drag of her slightly long fingernails against your chest. And she smiles this just wide grin, and her tongue runs across her teeth and lips, and then blood starts to trickle from the corners of her mouth and her eyes.
That's weird. But I kind of like it.
All right.
You got an eye thing going on there.
As she begins to pour blood from from each corner of her eye, the sides of her mouth, and it runs down over her lower lip and her chin, it feels like it's
never
beginning
happens.
to drip.
I promise.
It feels like it's beginning to drip onto your chest. You look down, and it looks like she's now dug her nails into your skin, and there's blood welling up. Although it doesn't really hurt.
All right.
All right. So she sort of, it's almost like she is dragged back away from you, or maybe you pull away from her. It's like the bed is elongating and you're being pulled apart. And there is a sudden stinging, burning, lashing feeling on your back, like a whip suddenly snapped against your back, and you gasp in pain and throw yourself forward, and you look and you can see this immense sticky blood stain on the bed. So Rowan, you can start to hear some cries of dismay from your position where you've kind of gone back into the back hallway.
She's lingering by the door.
You turn around
bed is
again.
bloody.
You turn around
Bloody
again,
bed.
and the companion is no longer as she was. She has this black hair in these kind of loose ringlet curls piled up on top of her head and held with a pin, a silver pin with bloodstones and rubies set in it, shaped into the white mask of Marena. And her teeth are prominent fangs descended from her gums, and there is just blood running down her face. Her skin is alabaster pale, and she's wearing this black and crimson leather. And in her hand, there are these flowing, writhing lashes of blood that the little barbs of the substance poke out from the tails of this scourge, and she laughs maniacally and begins lashing you savagely with it. It strikes in, bites deep into your flesh, slices through your clothes, and you can feel this searing burn as the lashes tear into you.
Ow, it kind of hurts now.
So it becomes quite painful, and then this sort of sense of terror begins to exude from the woman because you recognize her.
Oh,
It's
hello.
the vampire. It's the vampire who came to your house so long ago, and your mother introduced you to. And she's laughing and sort of tearing at you with these blood lashes, and you recognize the thing in her hand. It's the sanguine lash that you got from that strange coffin that looked like it had
Ow!
Danielle's body in it. And she
Back my bloody
is
lash, woman.
laughing and howling, and you're trying to kind of claw at her and are not really able to get purchase. Your hand just kind of splashes through the blood tails of the whip and come away with nothing. And she grabs you by the throat, leans in right next to your ear, just sort of combination growls and purrs. There you are, Riodan. We have missed you. And I think that's where we're going to stop for this evening.
I've missed you too.
Love it.
So we will pick up in the aftermath of that next time.
Love it.
Very pleased.
Lifetime goal achieved of doing a sex scene of Dan Dillon.
What the
in,
fuck did you
Indiana.
We're
Loved it.
not quite there yet, but I feel like we'll get there.
I feel like we're close enough.
We're close.
It feels like a victory. Wow. Well, that was a very fun episode of the World Tree Bones. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, check out the koboldpress.com, Midgard books, materials, PDF, whatever it is you need. Go and check it out. It's pretty damn awesome. And I'm here on Friday chatting with Dan again about creating your own Midgard character. So join us Friday. Goodness knows what time that is. 5 o'clock Eastern, maybe?
We might have to chat about that because I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged. It's not out of the question.
That's
but,
not happening.
Might have to manage it.
But check it out on YouTube. There was another episode, and that definitely happened.
Yes.
Well, but let's go around the cast and crew. Did we enjoy ourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Oh, and you guys in chat, we give away a set of dice here for y'all as well. Exclamation point loot.
Give it away.
There in the chat. Give it away now. Dan Dillon, how was tonight's episode of the World Tree Burns?
I had a great time. I needed to play some D&D. I was jonesing because we missed last week, and this was great. So it went to a few directions I was not necessarily expecting, but that seems to be par for the course with you guys, and I am here for it. So I had a blast, and I think we're ready to dive into something pretty damn interesting next week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Toll School, how was that tonight?
Always a blast. I love Midgard, and I claim I figured something out, but I don't know for sure, so we'll see. And I was trying to figure out a way to dance my way around how Glaz would have figured it out too, but didn't quite get there. The dice weren't on my side, but hey, that's why we play D&D, right? So we shall see.
Fantastic stuff. Right. Where can we find you online, Toll School?
You can find me at Tall Squall pretty much everywhere and all the different things I'm involved in. If you check my Twitter, my pinned tweet has all the different things that we do. And I will be at PAX Unplugged as well this weekend.
Yeah.
Awesome. Come say hi.
Love it. Scarlet Moth, how was that tonight?
Hello, I'm very happy with how that went. I wasn't expecting that to go all the places it did, but I'm glad that my little description of what happens with that drug was worked in by Dan. I don't think you've seen everything that it has to offer yet, so I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out.
Oh wait,
making Riordan's life a living hell seems to be what
it already is.
What
it already is
right now. Yeah.
Sad thing.
And you can find me at that Scarlet Moth on Twitter, Scarlet Moth on most other social media platforms. I'm an artist, cosplayer, D&D player, and semi-professional shitposter. I play on Monday nights Australian time or Monday mornings American time in a game over on Almighty Tales D&D channel, and I know they were hanging around in the chat today, so I'm pretty happy with that. So we play in a campaign called Death Shades, which is an all-female, all-Australian campaign, and everything seems to go pretty downhill. So if you see anyone who has a pair of sunglasses with 2 X's on it, that's because of our campaign where we always die.
Nice. Love it. Great stuff. And McLogan, how was that tonight for you?
Hi, I'm McLogan. You might recognize me from such films as Your Friend Does Drugs, Just Let Him Do It. Or how to tell when a woman's hitting on you. So I thought tonight's episode was really great. I love the Glaz and the tuna sandwich because that's just his personality completely. And then the whole interactions with Rowan and like her going along with it, and Tilly coming up with some good questions and like quick wit too when she was with Cloak, and then just going to get fucking drugs and be like and just dancing off in the distance. And apparently I missed a whole fucking conversation when I went to the bathroom about like sex dungeons and shit, and now I have to go back and watch that part so I can be like, oh wow, Jesus. I'm curious if Cloak's gonna get laid next week. I haven't really thought about him in that context, and but it's also suspicious to me why a human's hitting on a gnome. It might be her thing, but it's still Glaz is yelling about. You'll get there. I literally think
it is totally not what you think.
I don't know if she's something with grandmother, and that's what worries me. The back of my mind. I'm giving Dan ideas now.
I'm taking notes.
This is the bad. Notes. When you DM, you're like, oh, this could be this, or it could be this, or he could be fucked up like that, and then you say it out loud, and then the DM goes, "Ooh, you fucked up." So next week, Cloak dies. But yeah, you can find me at.
I want to know who gets laid first out of between Cloak and Rowan.
That's very true. And Tilly, no, the dwarf on dwarf girl. That was the best line tonight, hands down. But yeah, you guys can find me at mixer.com/storyquest. I run a weekly show. We've been off for a couple weeks due to work and then Thanksgiving. So I'm jonesing to play tomorrow and see where they're at. I'm not on a lot of shows currently, but I will be in the new year. My schedule will be filling up. Everyone's kind of on hiatus at the moment, so when those more get closer to the time and getting announced, I will gladly talk about them. One of them, I will be a mouse though, and I'm super excited.
Ooh, you play Mouse Guard? Mm.
Oh yeah, tell me about Mouse Guard, simply.
I love Mouse Guard. Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
Oh, that's it.
It's a perfect transition to Simply. How was that?
Hi, it was my Sybil Jackson. In case, because my mic was broken in the beginning. That's my name. That's not my game. I had a great time tonight. I feel like I spent a lot more time listening as Tilly, trying to figure out where Cloak was looking for this person, and then watching Rowan actually get social interactions really fun for Tilly, because she knows she hasn't had very much. But also steadily but surely getting more and more annoyed with Riordan, which is fun. Real fun. I'm excited that we're back. I missed last week. I missed us having the show. Admittedly, needed the time for the catch up in the beginning because I don't remember very well anyways. But you can catch me again tomorrow on my channel playing video games, Friday on my channel playing video games, and then Saturday on RPG Esports in the grand finale of the competition over there, which I'm super excited about. Nice. I actually am going to be versing my own roommate, which will be interesting.
With $5,000 on the line. It's a team deathmatch grudge match.
We were like, okay, so whoever wins, just get the other one a really nice Christmas present. Like, but yeah, it was fun. Thank you all in the chat for being here. Yeah, no. Thank you.
Love it. Couldn't love it anymore. I, for one, have very much enjoyed getting to play the worst character I've ever played as the drug-fueled Jack Sparrow of Midgard that Riordan is swiftly devolving into. Couldn't enjoy it anymore if I tried. Let's pick the winner for the set of dice. That is Tall Squall. Congratulations, Tall Squall. You won yourself a set of dice. Totally not rigged. So there you go. You know, maybe if you too were to play some Midgard in the Kobold Press D&D campaign, well, you could win some set of dice as well. But we'll be back tomorrow. What's happening tomorrow? Call of Cthulhu is happening tomorrow. I'm back with the Masks of Nyarlathotep with the wonderful cast and crew, star-studded crew that plays every Wednesday at 1 p.m. with us. And then there's Warhammer at 4 o'clock Eastern and Star Trek at 7 o'clock Eastern. So it's going to be a great day. In the meantime, though, try not to roll too many now ones because we want to be laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We love you.